It's me. It's the Nazarite bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. Now let's see. Live Q&A from Jerusalem on this fine Sunday evening. And I have a cup of tea here. It's just after 10 p.m. It's been a good productive day for me, I must say. Okay, hang on. Let's see that I have audio. Let's see that I have video. See that everything's okay here with all the stuff I need to do with YouTube. I usually do this before I go live, but I figured, let's do it right now. Okay. And yes, I am live. It is indeed the Nazarite, bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. I have audio, I have video, and hopefully, let's have some people. Hopefully, there will be some sort of hey, first person here, hey, Kevin Spence, don't casually give me a t-shirt, bro. No, I wouldn't dream of it, Kevin. I would not dream of casually yidding you in a t-shirt. Definitely not. Hey, Suyon is here. How you doing, Suyon? Shalom from Oklahoma. Seek truth. How you doing? I'm doing great, Suyon. Truly I am. How are you doing? How's life treating you? Is it a weekend where you are? Is the weekend over? Did you enjoy your weekend? Are you enjoying your weekend? Good people, all of you out there. So much fun to engage with you once again. Luke Miller is here. Shalom, my friend. How are you? Clean shaved look. No, not today. Hey, Morgenstern is here. Oh, I'm thinking of Hamlet now. I'm thinking of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. And I'm also thinking of The Princess Bride by S. Morgenstern. But greetings from Utah. Greetings from Jerusalem. Never been to Utah. Living life, it's good. Good, Suyon. That's really, really good that you're living life and that it's a good life. The time here is 10 p.m. and 11 minutes. The first day of the week, indeed. Xavier says, why does the angel of the Lord bear the name Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, and does this only Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh can do? I don't understand the latter part of the question, but the different angelic messengers and the different divine revelations, plural, they gather, let's say, their strength from a specific emanation that has its roots in the 10 sfirot. In other words, angels of different kinds have their roots in certain sfirot. Revelations of certain kinds, divine attributes, have their roots in certain sfirot. Depending on where the angel in question, or demon for that matter, depending on where it is from that they take their energy, let's say, that has to do with their name, it has to do with their task, right, their job, and that is why they are given certain names of the divine revelation itself. Sorry I suck at typing. It's all good. Hey, great noticers here. Not missing anything in Utah, just crazy Mormons. The entirety of Utah is crazy Mormons. I find that hard to believe. The weather is great, Suyon. The weather is really, really great. I mean, I'm a summer person. What are you going to do? I love the summertime. Even if it's hot and it's not that humid, it's more humid than other areas of the country. But Jerusalem is just, I love it. I really do. We all know Jacob saw Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. No, that is not exactly the case, because no man shall see me and live, God tells Moses. Everything that we see, everything that we can perceive, everything that we have in a relationship and contact with is divine revelation, not the divine itself, in the very same way that you're having contact with me right now through a digital projection, but it's not really me. It's me manifesting through zeros and ones. See what I'm saying? In the very same way, there's a manifestation of God through different revelations. You can discern certain things, you can have a back and forth, like we're having right now, and yet you're not here speaking to me, nor, even if you were here with me in this room, nor would you be able to tell exactly what's going on inside of me, how fast my heart is beating, what food I'm digesting, what's my liver currently doing. Certain things remain hidden, other things can be brought and made manifest. And the manifestations and revelations that all the patriarchs and the prophets and everyday people encounter, those are not God, those are revelations of God. That's the specific, more Paradesimunim way of thinking of it. You still don't accept Jesus? No, I do not. I accept that he is a dead man, no more, no less. I also accept that he is a righteous dead man. Why is Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh telling Jacob to make a statue of a god that he saw, not make an altar of me? I'm not sure what you mean. I'm not sure what you mean. Jacob is the one who, after he has that dream, wakes up, he takes the stone, right? He pours oil on it, he makes a vow. So I don't exactly understand. Hey, John Anthony is here, God be with you. Genesis 31:13, I am the God of Bet-El, right? Anochi ha'el Bet-El, where you anointed a pillar. The angel of the Lord is... No, it's that the divine revelation is in this case speaking through the angel. Exactly for the same reason that God tells Moses to tell the children of Israel that the angel that will be seeing them to the promised land, as it were, his name is within his midst, and so they should not rebel against him. And seemingly, what do you mean? It's not God, it's an angel. You can rebel against an angel, but it's what the angel represents. In the very same way, that's what's going on here. But at no point is it actually speaking of God, but only of different revelations of God. Xavier says, who did Jacob see at the top of the staircase? Nobody. It did not say that he ascended to the top of the staircase. All it said is that the messengers of God were going up and down. The angel says he was the one he made a vow to, but Jacob made a vow to Adonai. Yes, it was the angel. An angel is a messenger. So the messenger of the king brings forth the words of the king to whoever he is giving the message to. It's that clear. Hey, Batty is here. How you doing? It's good to see you again. Ever consider moving back to U.S.? No, I never lived in the U.S., so I can't very well consider moving back. I never made a life there. I never had a life there. I never lived there for more than a month. When I was on vacation at some point. User says Protocol of Sion. Yes, what about it? John Anthony says, we are all brothers and sisters under God. If you believe or not, only makes a difference at the end. Yeah, maybe. I mean, brothers and sisters under God. Humanity, right? Made in the image of God. I'm inclined to agree. Christopher, hi my guy. How you doing, Christopher? He saw Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh at the top of the staircase. What it says is, V'hineh Adonai nitzav alav. That's what it says. It says, V'hineh Adonai nitzav alav. It doesn't say that Jacob saw Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh at the top of the staircase. To the best of my if memory serves, that's not the way that it's broken down in the Torah portion. Timothy says, no one can look upon the face of God and live. Right, exactly. The face even of a straightforward revelation is one that Moses could not withstand. Did you shower today? Yes, I did, user. Can the messenger claim to be the king? No, he speaks for the king. But when it has to do with the divine revelation and the angel, because the name of the angel itself has its root in the 10 Sfirot, the messenger of the king doesn't have its actual root in the king. The king gives authority to the messenger to deliver a message. But an angel speaking in the name of God, that's something a little different in the sense that there is that name of the Most High in the angel, whereas the name of the king is not in the messenger of the king. He simply bears the king's message. So it was an impartial analogy, let's put it that way. Interesting that you don't have any kind of accent. You sound American. Yes, because my parents are from New York and they are American. Do Israelis speak good English like you? I mean, again, I'm bilingual. Most Israelis are not bilingual. I have fluent English and Hebrew, and I use both constantly. So I would think most Israelis would have an accent and not perhaps as large a vocabulary, maybe not as fluent, but there's good English here. I mean, hit and miss, really, hit and miss. You look like a Jew I would want for a friend to argue with. Thanks, Christopher, though I'm not an arguer or a debater. I'm just here to have conversations with people. But the angels of the Lord said he made a vow to him. Yes, in the very same way that the angels who came to eradicate and decimate Sodom and Gomorrah said, Ki mashchitim anu et ha'ir, we are coming to erase the city. But later it says that it was God that rained down the sulfur and the fire, right? Me'et Adonai. So it's a very intense and intimate relationship, let's say, between the master and the messengers. Abraham ate with angels. Yes, that is correct. That is what they say. Why is it that people make the shower comment? Because people have a certain idea of what beauty and aesthetics are for them subjectively. I don't really align with what they consider to be hygienic, aesthetic, or in any kind of way presentable because of the wild hair and because of the wild beard. So even if my face isn't covered in dirt, and even if there's no muck in my beard and no crumbs on my mustache, they will ask, have you showered today, for two reasons. A, to make themselves feel better. B, because they seem to think that a wild beard and a wild hair means uncleanliness. Of course, they are wrong on both of these counts, but to each his own. I would think that's why they make that remark constantly. Why do you hate me? I do not hate you. Bible with Daniel, do you hate me? Michael says, why God allowed the Holocaust to happen? First of all, I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. That idea of evil manifesting in the world, the evil is only here. At the root, it's all one. And I've made this analogy many times from Pardes Monim, right, where it speaks of, for instance, food, that when you eat it, it's 100% food, but then when it goes down to a lower point and digestion comes into play heavier, right, because digestion starts up here, with the enzymes, with the saliva, with the teeth, but it really, really gets to work and pulls food apart down here at a lower place. And in the lower place, the positive things go to nourish the body and sustain it, and for the health and wellness of the physical organism, and the excess gets pushed out. And if the excess was to stay inside, it would cause me to become ill and eventually to probably die. So evil must come out. So it comes out through my urethra, right, through the tip of my penis, and through my anus. The excess, right, the evil, let's say. In the very same way, the root is one, where it's like 100% goodness. By the time it reaches down here in this world, a world of knowledge of good and evil, of duality, then evil comes into play. And certain things there, again, another analogy that is not complete, right, that it's partial, but it sort of is here to convey that idea that the good and evil that we perceive as such is only here in this world. And even though it does count for a lot, after all, we live in this world, it's still something to observe and understand that it's not a question of God allowing, right? It's the divine revelation, not God, but the divine revelation that had everything to do with the push and pull, with the digestive element of this world, and the fact that there's good and evil here. Do you still study Kabbalah? Yes, I do. Vito says you need psychiatric help. I am a fan of therapy. I've never been to a psychiatrist, but I've been to a couple of therapists, and it's very recommended, highly recommended. If you're feeling called to go and speak to a professional, by all means do. It's important to have good rapport and a good relationship with your therapist. I've been very fortunate that with the 2 out of 3 therapists that I've seen over the years, I've had very good results and rapport with them. Now, Vito, why do I need psychiatric help? Please let me know. I'd love to know. How would one go about converting to Judaism? You speak to a local rabbi wherever you are, or a non-local rabbi, and they will guide you. This is the semantics they use to justify everything evil they do. No, hey, Citizen Z2033, good to see you again, man. No, someone asked about the Holocaust, and that was actually something that was done to the Hebrew people, and has nothing to do with semantics, nothing to do with justification. That's just you projecting your own malevolent and, racist, I suppose, ideology. Why do you hate me, please, and why are your moderators really bad? I have no moderators here, man. That's part of the deal with the channel. No, not in the mound, in the mind. What you don't have. Say, what now? What are you talking about, man? Not sure what you mean, Mecca Mechaniczny Hi there. He is full of shit. Yes, I am full of shit. Eventually it will leave. But for now, yeah, I'm full of shit. It's not, I'm not turtling yet, but yeah. They're about to ban me, aren't they? No, Bible. I don't ban anybody. I don't put anybody in a timeout. I don't censor or filter anybody. Hang on a second. I gotta get my tea bag out of here. Ooh, okay. Still too hot? No. No. Yeah, a little too hot. Okay, I'll wait. I would like to immigrate to Israel, says People Boy, a beautiful country. It is a beautiful country, and there are many beautiful countries in the world. Yom Tov, Achi, says Isaiah. Yom Tov. Yom Tov, a very good day. FFG, bro just ignores me every stream, LMAO. FFGGG, KOK, this is the first time I'm laying eyes on you on this live stream. I don't know what you're talking about. Please be sure that unless I specifically ignore all questions about the conflict like I did last night, I don't ignore you. If that makes you laugh your ass off, by all means laugh. Laughter is good. It is medicinal. It is therapeutic. It's good for the immune system. So laugh. Laugh at me. Laugh at this crazy screwed up situation where you have your head so far up your ass that you actually think that I'm ignoring you right now. But okay. But let's scroll up and see what he had to say. What did he have to say? What did he have to say? Almost 20% of Palestinians do. Do what, FF? What are you talking about? Scrolling up. I don't see anything else you said. Could it be that YouTube was censoring you because you were saying things that were a no-no? Oh, Palestinian detainees. What about them? You're speaking. Look. What you're saying is too fragmented, and then you're saying, "Oh, he's ignoring me." You're being a fool if you think I'm ignoring you. Also, if you want to do something actually productive, and I'm not getting to you in the chat and it offends you, leave a comment, because I do address every single comment that is addressed to me that YouTube notifies me of. But yes, I don't see your questions, and I'm literally addressing you now, Big Mac Orange. Yes, I'm addressing him because maybe some things YouTube is not letting through, or maybe certain things are not. I don't know what he's saying. I don't precisely know what he's saying because it's probably being censored by YouTube. So, Shavua Tov. Hey, Catalyst, Shavua Tov, a good week. Gutvoch. What do you think of Alan Watts? I'm very much a fan of Alan Watts. David Roger does it. I'm a fan of Alan Watts. I actually got to him through a friend, and then later I got even more into him because of Akira the Don. Bro, I've been spamming it. I'm assuming he meant spamming. Well, it hasn't been reaching me. So either leave a comment or phrase it differently here or in a comment, right? Phrase it differently so it won't be held for review or it won't be censored. And whatever you want, man. I really don't give a crap what you have to say or think if all you're saying is, if you're here to have a conversation, that we can do. If you're here to simply cast aspersions and make foolish accusations, that's not a conversation. That's just you spewing your bile. So either way, whatever works. Jim Larson. Oh, Larson. Hey, how you doing, man? What do you mean I can spam? Yes, you can spam. People says, I always admired how well-read Jewish people are, as they were expelled and persecuted throughout. The only thing they could keep is the great knowledge and education. So many exiles, so many persecutions. But, I mean, you're making a broad generalization, and a very nice and positive one at that. I don't know if that's truly the case. People will say, oh, no, those are all Ashkenazi Jews, and they're all fake Jews, and they're all Khazarians, and they're all East Europeans, and they're not. People have all kinds of weird, crazy things going up in their brains, as do I. FFG, why do 60% of Israelis support rape of Palestinian detainees who have no trial or charge? I have no idea where you're pulling this stat from. I really don't know if 60%... What you're saying is, if I stop 5 random Israelis on the street, 3 out of those 5 will be for raping people in detention, in prison, in jail, right, wherever they're being held. I think that is completely not the case. I don't know that for a fact, nor do you. But why? You'll have to ask those who are actually uh, holding that opinion. I could give you a guess. I could give you but it would be only a guess, and it wouldn't be good enough. So I won't be addressing something so monumental as 3 out of 5 people who are for like pro rape. That doesn't sound right to me at all. At all. Not at all. I would even think that 3 out of 5 would be pro execution of murderers before they would be pro rape of detainees. Do you see what I'm saying? But okay. Depends on where you ask, but I'll find the stat. I don't doubt that you can produce the stat. Obviously, you can make up any stat, not you. People make up any stat, people bring all kinds of things. And even if you bring the stat, maybe it was just 50 people, maybe it was 10,000 people. I just find it hard to believe, knowing Israelis, growing up in Israel and living in it all my life, throughout different wars and military operations and terrorist attacks. And even so, throughout the whole thing, I don't think 3 out of 5 people would be pro-rape. Under what circumstances could that possibly be the case? 1 in 5, maybe. I would think it would be even less. Now, I think what you're talking about is that there was a suspicion or something, I don't know, I don't watch the news, but of some sexual assault going on, and there were people who were protesting in favor of the soldiers. That is not exactly the same thing as being pro-rape. Do you see what I'm saying? You're kind of conflating supporting our soldiers no matter what, which is one thing, and I'm not for that either. Some soldiers belong in jail. Some soldiers should be put to death if they are genocidal, psychopathic maniacs who carry out their tendencies and kill innocent people. They deserve death, or just to be in prison. I think what you are doing, or what that stat was doing, or that stat upon which you're basing your assertion, I think that what you're saying is that 3 out of 5 people are pro-rape, when I think that at the time, 3 out of 5 people were, let's protest in favor of our soldiers in this particular case. And I don't think that's the same thing at all. But I'm not sure. I gotta eat ham sandwiches, says Jake. Well, good for you, man. I've never eaten ham. I've heard it's very tasty. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל יהיה בדברו. Oh yes, a good cup of tea on a Sunday night. Never ceases to amaze me how convoluted liberals and Palestinian Simon are. Who? Palestinian what? Okay. Well, you do have to look homeless, says Call Me Kane. I have to look homeless? Really? I do? Says who? I don't think I have to look homeless. What your opinion about Chabad? I'm a fan, not of every facet of Chabad, but I'm a fan of Hasidism as such, though I'm not a Hasid. Some Chabad teachings are really amazing. The Tanya is an amazing book. I think the Rebbe Milubavitch, right? The Lubavitcher Rebbe had a lot of interesting things to say. My opinion of the Messianic facet of Chabad, not so good, because there are some people who worship him as a living God. Some people worship him as a living Messiah. Not good. I don't think that's good, but I'm not a Chassid. I have no idea. So that's my opinion, that they do a lot of great things. I am in their debt, because there were times, for instance, in the army, where we didn't have enough people in the synagogue to hold the proper prayers, and they showed up, and we read the scroll of Esther on Purim, for instance, and so I'm in their debt. I also know that people sometimes, look, they're pushing the 7 Noahide laws all over the world, and that's neither here nor there as far as I'm concerned. But there is a Beit Chabad in so many places, and they also give charity not just to Jews, right, but they use the coinage that they have to help people all over the world. And so I think that there's a lot of benevolence and an agenda, to be sure, but still a benevolence. If it's not 100% altruistic. So what? Who's 100% altruistic? There's nothing that is 100% altruistic, I think. Or it's nigh impossible to achieve that. FF says, it's weird everyone else could see my comment the way I phrased it, but only you couldn't. No, it's not that I couldn't. I don't know which one you're referring to. I scrolled up, I saw a few things, I addressed them. You were talking about the detainees, right? But it was too fragmented and I couldn't quite understand what you were saying. So I don't know if it was me not being able to see it. I don't know if it's me simply not scrolling up enough because you were fragmenting what you were saying and didn't give it as a chunk. That's not to your discredit. I'm simply saying that's the way it went down. Or, I'm not sure. Do you think Israel is censoring things? No, I don't think Israel censors things. I mean, Israel does, but that's not here. It's YouTube here. It's Google. Do you believe in God, Hebrew? Yes, I'm quite a fan of the Hebrew God as a Hebrew man. If statistics are against me, they're made up. If the anecdotes favor me, they're facts. No, I didn't say that. What I said was that even if the statistics are there, and it is indeed 60%, 3 out of 5 people, I think it would be 3 out of 5 people that are supporting the soldiers in this case, not 3 out of 5 people that are pro-rape of Palestinian detainees. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's not the same thing at all. It's not the same thing at all. So you saying that and misrepresenting what I'm saying, no, Dosilas, that's not what I said at all. It's not what I said at all. Really, really not. Also, there are indeed some cases where the anti-Israel bias is so self-evident and so great and so demonstrable that no, I will not accept those stats or those figures or those numbers. And you could say that I'm full of shit, by all means, by all means. Does accounting pay? I don't know, I'm a writer. I got banned for being honest. That's one good thing to be banned about, being honest. I'm on your side. Does accounting pay? Likely, but I don't know. I'm not an accountant. Although, as a writer, there have been times when I was out of work saying, oh my God, Adonai, why did you create me a writer? Why couldn't I be an accountant? IJ says, so when Itamar Ben Gvir, okay, I'm going to stop you right there. I'll keep reading, but I'll stop you right there. I don't know Itamar Ben Gvir. I don't watch news. I don't follow politics. I didn't vote for the guy. I know that he is the Minister of the Interior Security or something like that, and that he is a religious extremist according to some. That's all I know about it. Let's continue. The entire Knesset were celebrating the law they passed, which they can kill Palestinian prisoners without trial. Without trial? That has got to be bullshit. I'm sorry, I don't know. Maybe you are right. If you are right, that is some bullshit. But if you're wrong, that is some bullshit. But either way, this is some bullshit. Let's put it this way. The entire Knesset was celebrating. As far as I know, there was never, ever a law that was passed like unanimously by the Knesset or near unanimously. There have been a few, but unanimously, so it's not the entire Knesset. Maybe it's many people in the Knesset. Ask yourself why that is. If there is indeed the Terrorism Act and the reintroduction of the death penalty, maybe it's because we have relentless, bloodthirsty, warmongering terrorist groups that stop at nothing and that will stop at nothing. And maybe they can be deterred by knowing that they're going to die, which obviously not because they're a death cult. I'm of the opinion that maybe, you know what they used to do? They used to bury Muslim terrorists in pigskin or something like that. And I've been told there's something in Islam or some facet of Islam or some teaching in Islam that would prevent them from, I don't know what, I really don't know, but I heard that was a thing. I'm not saying let's reintroduce that, but I'm saying let's think beyond that, because obviously they don't care about their people, they don't care about dying, they all want to be shaheeds for the cause, they want to be martyred. So, I'm not saying that law is a figment of your imagination. I'm going to say two things. First, I didn't research that law. I don't know. I really don't. Second of all, it could not have been the entire Knesset because the entire Knesset would not have voted yes on this. I guarantee you that. But even if it's a lot of the Knesset, let's grant that proposition and say that Itamar Ben Gvir and a lot of the Knesset were celebrating because now they can kill murderers according to law, terrorists, murderers, people who actually want to wipe every single Jew, right, and wipe Israel off the map and annihilate the Jews. And they do actually carry this out. This is not some fancy. This is not something they're no, they are acting on it every single day. That is what they are aiming at. That is their goal. Israel will exist and continue to exist until Islam obliterates it. That's what the Hamas charter says. So, some people deserve death. I'm not the one who will decide who will live or die. That's not me. I'm not a judge. But I definitely think that if a law is passed that says that when an enemy, right, a terrorist, comes and kills and murders, not even kills, murders people, not combatants, not people in uniform, talking about civilians, non-combatants, right? Murder. Yes, according to Torah, they should be put to death. And maybe now, I don't know the ins and outs of the law, but maybe now, according to the state of Israel, they will also be put to death. Now, this raises a whole other question of Jewish terrorists, right? What if a Jewish terrorist, does this law also apply? You mentioned Palestinian prisoners. Does it also apply to Jewish prisoners? Does it also apply to citizens of Israel who are terrorists, who go and murder someone who's a Palestinian just for the sake of murdering somebody of the enemy, or that they consider to be the enemy? Not one of the terrorists, not one of the leaders, a regular Joe, just walking down the street, a Jew terrorist knifes him to death, stabs him 20 times, and is caught. Does he get put to death as well? Is it by the same token? I don't know. I have not studied the law. But I don't think it's a figment of your imagination. But I don't think that the entire Knesset was celebrating. I really, really don't. Let's continue. What tribe are you from? Nazarites make straight. Nazarites can be from any tribe. I happen to be from the tribe of Levi. Hey, Stinky Farter is here. Mark Dorman is here. Greek Kings is here. You don't go to the grocer and ask for car oil, says Stinky Farter. No, you don't. Usually you don't. MB says this hasbara doesn't work. Well, first of all, I'm not a masbir. I'm not here for hasbara. I'm here to talk to people. That's it. So if what I'm doing here doesn't work, be gone. Go away. Scroll away. Or propose a different topic in the chat, and let's roll with that, MB. What's your view on racism, that it should be gone from the world? Do you feel closer to God through prayer and ritual or through doing good deeds? Those are one and the same. That's the very same thing. This sounds like some crazy news. The Green Crescent is making up. It's unbelievable, says Kurz Volga. Hey, Kurz, good to see you again, man. Can you scroll up to Jana Chakraborty? Hang on. Scrolling up. I don't see the name. Hey, Omar. I don't see. Hey, Saxon. Stephanie is here. Do you hate Gaza? No, I do not. I don't see him here, man. I'm scrolling up. I'm already in the chat that was from 5 minutes ago. Oh, here it is. But he's replying to Xavier. So I have no idea. I have no idea what you're talking about, man. I don't know if you were talking to me or someone else. But okay, let's keep going. A true Nazarite vow, says BH. Yes. A true Nazarite vow. Brother, can you recommend any Kabbalah resources on YouTube? Well, let's put it this way. There are two Nazarite Kabbalists on YouTube, one in English, the New York Nazarite Aleph Aleph, one in Hebrew, Yehuda Hatuljaman, who I went to yeshiva with 20-something years ago. We both ended up taking the Samson Nazarite vow. I didn't know that he did it, he didn't know that I did it, but then we got in touch. Because I went with a friend and he told me, oh yeah, he's one too. What are the odds? But no, I can't, because I think that it needs to be, at least in the beginning, face-to-face with a proper master. So I can't recommend any Kabbalah resources on YouTube, no. Why are you against debating? Because I'm not a debater. I'm not here to convince anyone of my point of view. I'm not here to change anybody else's way of thinking. I'm not here to alter anyone's views. I'm not here to one-up anybody. I'm not here to gain points. I'm not here to marshal an argument as a rebuttal to someone else, and then, no, I'm here to have conversations and dialogues with people that are non-combative, non-aggressive. It can get heated, yeah, but the point is not to debate. Debates usually have winners and losers, but I want just the dialogue to be there in and of itself. That is why, no, there's no Judaic rule on debating, Adil. That's simply something that I don't do. Greek King says they expressly said Baruch Goldstein would not get the death penalty under this law. No Israelis, only Palestinians, and only after conviction in military court, which is in due process. Okay. The law expressly says this. First, I find it hard to believe. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just hard for me to believe. It doesn't sound quite like the Israeli government. The fact that it needs to be a military court, yes, because these are combatants. That, granted, sure, I get that. The fact that it's only Israelis, only Palestinians, not Israelis. Of course, there are many Palestinian Israelis, but that's beside the point. People who are in Area A, right? Under the Palestinian Authority or Hamas's authority. Let's think about this for a moment. The case for such a law would be, these guys are the enemy of Israel. This guy is somebody who, sure, did a terrible thing, but he is not inherently an enemy of Israel. Now, are you allowed to have different weights? Are you allowed, according to, let's say, morals, ethics, and law, and the rule of law, to differentiate between two terrorists, two murderers, simply because one is from Area A and one is from Area C, let's say? I think I need to look more into the law. I would think that the law would apply equally. But we know that there are different laws and rules for enemies and engaging with enemies under the rules of war than with local. Do you see what I'm saying? There are rules of engagement with enemy forces. There are rules of engagement with, let's say, friendly forces who have gone rogue or who have gone astray, or I don't know what name to call it. I don't think you treat internal enemies in the very same way. I don't know. You people who are more knowledgeable than me, you tell me. In most of the world, from what you know, if you have a citizen, a civilian of your own country who does something, and you have somebody from the outside, a foreigner who does something, are they both equal before the law at 100% across the board on all things? And even if it's true with civilian matters, what about matters of combat and conflict and war and aggression? Are those two people still treated the same way, as far as you know? And I'm asking because I do not know. Now, if they expressly said Baruch Goldstein would not have gotten the death penalty because no Israelis, only Palestinians, that to me raises the question of who is it that caused it to come to this? That's not the question to ask. That's not the question to ask because mistakes were made on both sides. So regardless of who is at fault for it to come to pass that Israel should reinstate execution into its legal rule and into the law book, what's done is done, and it has been passed, right? I need to look more into the law in order to know more. But people in the chat, please do tell me what you think. Your style is what Rastas call reasoning. Yes, exactly, reasoning. That's what I'm saying. Exactly, yes. I know the reasoning of the Rastas, right? Sitting in a circle, passing a joint, learning some Torah, right? So yeah, it's the same sort of thing. Exactly. Hey, it's Greg from Australia. Could you get me a job on a kibbutz if I move to Israel? No, I can't. I'm not a recruiter or a headhunter. Plus, I don't know what you do. And there are many jobs that you could get depending on your skill set. Do you think Britain should have colonized India, Ireland, etc.? Well, Britain was an empire, and the British Commonwealth still stretches far and wide. Should they have colonized India and Ireland? And what, I mean, annex them and make them part of the empire and keep it that way? I have no idea. I really don't. But if what you're alluding to is that Israel is colonizing Palestine, that is not true even a little, because you cannot be a colonizer of your own mother state. In order for there to be a colony, there needs to be a mother state, and Israel is the mother state. Second of all, there was always a presence here of Jews for over 3,000 years, unbroken. It's always been our ancestral home, whereas Ireland and India were not always the home of the English. Page says it uses the apartheid conditions in the West Bank to only apply to Palestinians, not Israelis. First of all, there is no apartheid. The only apartheid is the other way around. But okay, let's grant that. Let's say that in this case of this particular law, there is indeed apartheid where Palestinians, yes, put to death, and Israelis not being put to death. Okay, so now there is no apartheid, let's say, in anything else in Israel, and there isn't apartheid going on here. That is absolute. That is a true falsehood, like 100%. There are 2 million Arab Israelis living in Israel with equal rights, Muslims and Christians. 1,850,000 Muslims and 150,000 Christian Arabs. This is not an apartheid. They are from the highest to the lowest, industries and points in civilization, from the street sweeper to the Supreme Court. You have Muslims, Arabs that are Muslim and Christian. So, but let's grant this and say that there is the apartheid condition, that it applies to Palestinians and not Israelis insofar as this law is concerned. Like I said, I need to read more into it. I need to read more into it if I'm going to say anything about it, because this is a matter of rule of law. But just from the onset, my gut feeling is that a Jewish terrorist, if proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that he or she are guilty of murder for the sake of murder, and if it were a Palestinian they would have put him to death, then yes, they should put this Jew to death. The Torah would also probably be on board with that, because the Torah says that you can only atone for the blood of the murdered with the blood of the murderer. Now, sure, we don't have a Sanhedrin now, we don't have the courts now, we don't have the sages now, properly, rabbis, the laying of the hands, all of that will make a comeback, but right now we do not have it. Ergo, we may not have the halachic authority to put people to death. Now, if you're talking about the democratic state of Israel, and let the Jewish thing slide for a moment, and the state of Israel wants to pass a law to make the death penalty a thing again, that only happened once with Adolf Eichmann, then I would think it would need to apply to both, and that the origin, geographically speaking, or ethnically speaking, or religious, affiliation should not matter. If it's somebody innocent who was murdered with intent and premeditated murder, like first degree, beyond a doubt, this dude, calculated, cold-blooded killing murder, then yes, without looking into the law, I think it should apply to both. But I can't really tell you. I need to read the actual law. And chances are it's so full of legalese that I probably wouldn't understand it even if I read it. Okay. Take your meds, buddy. Yes. Yes, I do. What will be the Noahites' mission at the time of the Third Temple? Well, I consider the Third Temple to be a time when we will all be united together. So everyone will be elevated, and eventually the religion will fall by the wayside, and we'll be able to get back to that Edenic mindset, right? There was no religion in Eden. There were no Jews and Gentiles or Noahites in Eden. It applies to people with Palestinian passports only. No, I understand what you said, paid membership. I understand what you said. And I'm saying that I need to look into the law, but just off the top of my head with my gut, it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right. But people in the chat, tell me, what do you think? What do you think? Law is a battlefield, bro. Yeah, stinky farter. So they say. Tiffany is here. Hey, 12 tribes. Right on. I'm out this nonsense, says Samie. Bye, Samie. It was good to have you on board for as long as you stayed. Dumb place to have a kid, so says. What's a dumb place to have a kid? Religion is a lie. Yes, many people would agree with you. I don't think so. I think religion has definitely the capacity and the potential for being corrupt and a lie, a tool of oppression and control, the opiate of the masses. But no, I still have faith in religion. Despite all of its drawbacks and all of its shortcomings, all of its faults and failures, I still think that there's so much to it, and I'm not throwing this baby out with the bathwater. I'm not, and maybe I'm way off, and maybe I'm wrong, but I can't bring myself to do it. Neve says, there is a death penalty law in the criminal procedure law. It has never been used. It's all for the benefit of election propaganda. So what are you saying? You're saying that this Knesset passed this law in order to look better for the upcoming elections, so people will think, oh, these suits are actually doing something and we should vote for them again? Did I get that right? Collie, have you ever looked up your DNA ancestry? No, I have not. And I have no reason to. If there is a reason to, I definitely will. It's not illegal in Israel, though many people say it is, but it isn't illegal. It's simply regulated. It's not illegal. Greek King says military court is something like 99% conviction rate of Palestinians, so the death penalty law guarantees execution of innocent Palestinians. No, it guarantees execution of guilty murderers that are Palestinian. It allows for the terrible tragedy and the mistake of an execution of innocent Palestinians. You see what you did there? You seem to be painting all Palestinians as innocent, whereas I am more of a realist, and I say that even if the majority of them are innocent, they're not saying anything, they're not doing anything, they're not vocal, they're not trying to undermine or overthrow their Hamas or Palestinian Authority leadership that are actually terrorists. I'm not going to hold them entirely at fault. They've been brought up in poverty and squalor and terrible conditions, not to mention with the IDF bombing and shelling and shooting. And I lay that all at the feet of the Palestinian leadership, by the way, but that's beside the point. So you're saying that it guarantees execution of innocent Palestinians, and I say no, it guarantees execution of murderers. It makes allowance for the tragedy of executing innocent people. And one can make the claim that even if only one person that is innocent is ever executed because of this law, already it has lost all of its legitimacy, all of its credibility. Not even one life that is innocent should be forfeit because of a law. Some people say that. Some people say it's just not worth it. Greek King says you did not read my entire message. I'm sorry, was it fragmented? Hey, look at that. Hi from your cousin Joe Schreiber and Ranana, father of Rabbi Josh and Rabbi Danny. Hello. Here's a kif. That's lovely. Ilan Sarfati says there is no such thing as Palestinians. I mean, there was never such a place, there was never such a nation or a kingdom or a sovereign state, but there are people who were here living when Rome renamed it Syria Palestina. There were people here living when the British Mandate of Transjordan and Palestine was a thing, so they called themselves Palestinians, but the original Palestinians were Jews, because Rome called this place, that was Judea. They called it the Roman province of Syria Palestina, to spite the Jews. And Jews were here when the Brits got the mandate, so they were, however you want to look at it, it's Jews that are the original Palestinians, one way or the other. The world is morally fragmented right now, says Stinky Farter. I think the world is always morally fragmented. But who's to say? Have you tried rapping, says WB. Have I ever tried rapping? Not. I mean, yes. I've performed slam poetry. I was a slam poet in Yerushalayim, right in Jerusalem, and I performed once or twice in Tel Aviv too. For a few months, I did the slam poetry thing. That was almost a rap. Almost. A couple of them were almost. So yes, I have tried rapping. I can say that I have tried to rap. I suppose, right? My slam poems were my slam poetry was on the rappy side. So yes, I would say I would. Glad to see you are treating your wife better. She let you inside. Haha. Very, very funny, Mama Luigi. Why does his hair look like that? Kitten says. Because I'm a Nazarite and I have taken the vow of a Nazarite, which means that I let the hair grow wild and free. Why are you voting for the first time in October? Because I believe politics are a horrible, dirty game. I am just. It's a terrible, terrible thing, but things have come to pass now that are so horrible that I feel that after 20 years of not voting, this administration must go. Netanyahu must go. And if soon enough, when I start looking into the different parties and the platforms and the candidates, and I don't find one better than Netanyahu, I'm going to continue not voting. Greek King says, you're a Nazir, you should be protective, you should do protective presence in the West Bank. What does that mean, protective presence in the West Bank? Who am I supposed to be protecting? IJ says it was called Palestine. Even Orthodox Jewish rabbis from Palestine consider themselves Palestinian Jews. Yes, and the first basketball team was of Palestine, and the first public transportation system that were all Jews was Palestine. Yes, of course, of course. The coins that the Brits minted here, it said Palestine, and in parentheses, Aleph Yod Eretz Yisrael, the acronym for Land of Israel. Of course, a lot of the world considers this place Palestine because Rome called it that, and Rome, right, the Roman Empire, it changed a lot of things in society. And that is one of them, that for people who are not Jewish or Israeli at the time, right, of the people of Israel, it was known as Palestine or Palestina. But for the Hebrews, it was always Eretz HaKodesh, the Holy Land, or Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. It's even mentioned as the land of Israel. Of course, there they mean the land of the 10 tribes, right, and the kingdom of Israel, but it's called the land of Israel and the land of Judah. So, yes, they called themselves Palestinian Jews. It depends on the context. I suppose it depends on the context. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that there's no such thing as Palestinians, meaning that there are people who were here, but there was never such a state, there was never such a kingdom, there was never such a country, they never had a currency, never had a leader, never had anything. The Palestinian identity as this ancient people is some bullshit that was propped up by the Soviets and the PLO in the 1960s. That's when the flag made an appearance, the national anthem made an appearance in the 90s. And they conjured up this thing. Now, are there people who've been here for hundreds and thousands of years alongside the Jews? Yes. Are they some ancient race of Palestinians? No. Do they have an indigenous claim as much as the Jews? Yes. Should we be living side by side with them? Yes. But the identity of the Palestinian as such, look it up, the 1960s, right? The Soviets that were very much encouraging this, they were the ones who really brought it about in earnest. And, well, yeah, in that sense, there's no such thing as Palestinians, but there is such a thing because, yes, of course there is. Rome called it Palestine. It was the British Mandate of Palestine. The Jews were Palestinians as well until the establishment of the State of Israel. And so, if there are those who are now on the other side of this border, who are not of the State of Israel, then yes, they are still Palestinians insofar as they can perceive it. That's what they're going with. You can call them anything, you can call them everything, they choose to go with Palestinian. Yes, that's what I meant, says Ilan Salfati. What is a Jew? Serious question. A Jew is somebody born to a Jewish mother or somebody who converted to Judaism. That is a Jew. The chat is the worst part of this channel, LOL, says Stinky Farter. Well, what are you gonna do? It's all good. It's all good, really. The chat, I love the haters and I love the lovers and the Nazis and the spammers and the trollers and the encouragers, the ones asking good questions, the ones asking better questions, the ones asking not so good questions, the ones telling me to shave, the ones telling me to kill myself, the ones who tell me I rape babies or eat babies or eat them and then rape them. whatever people say. Protective presence means you protect Palestinians in Area A and B who are being harassed by settlers. Okay, let's put it this way. How am I to discern? How am I truly to discern, right? I go for a field trip in the West Bank. I happen across an altercation between Hebrews and Palestinians, right? Settlers and Palestinians. And how is it that I'm supposed to be the arbiter of this? How do I know what happened? They'll say he did this, and he said they'll do this, and what am I supposed to do about it? Say, can't we all just get along? Yes, I could say that. I doubt it would do anything to aid the situation, other than maybe put me in harm's way, which I'm not that keen on doing. Now, this doesn't mean that I'll never ever put myself in harm's way. There are things where I'm willing to throw myself against and say, no, hey, stop it. How am I, practically speaking, supposed to know? If I show up there, and each one of them claims that they are retaliating for something the other one did. And then what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Just stand there with my pickle in my hand? What am I supposed to do at that point? What tea are you drinking? English breakfast. English breakfast tea. Do you trim your mustache? Yes, I do. I do trim the mustache, and I reveal the upper lip for better kissing and better eating. That's the only thing I trim. Not just babies, toddlers too. Of course, toddlers, babies, infants. Yeah. Can we talk about farts? Yes, Big Mac Orange, we can. What fart are you feeling right now? Fart proudly. Is that allowed? Yes, it is. What you're not allowed to do is shave with a razor the corners of your beard and rip things out of the root. For the Nazarite, what is not allowed is to shave or cut the hair of the head. The hair of the beard and mustache is not the crown of the Nazarite-ship. You can be a clean-shaven Jew, that's a Nazarite. Hair of the head, that is the crown, not the beard. You'll know they're innocent because you'll get to know the families. Oh, okay, so now Greek King, this is not just me going for a one-off. This is me going there on a regular basis. Now, you may not know this, but I do have a wife and kids and a life here in Jerusalem. I don't think I would be able to go to the West Bank to such a degree on such a regular, ongoing basis to get to know the families there, Jewish or Palestinian. So once again, I don't know if I would be so keen on throwing myself in the middle of the fray. And what you are saying is something that maybe other people who are volunteers or political activists, I am not a political activist and I'm not a volunteer. I have volunteered, but I'm never to do that. Threatened to cut a baby in half or something, says Citizen. Are you talking about Solomon or are you talking about Tom York? Cut the kids in half. Cut the kids in half. Leo says, fucking hell. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. A lot of fornication going on in hell. I mean, Jews have no hell, but sure. Jasmine tea. Ooh. Have you read Talmud? I heard it takes 7 years. It can. To finish the Shas, it can take 7 years. It can take more. It can take less. I haven't read the entirety of the Talmud, not even a little. I haven't opened up the Talmud regularly since my yeshiva days, over 20 years ago. So I probably will go back to studying Talmud regularly. I have no idea when. I'm not ruling it out. But yes, it takes a very long time. Hey, AA is here. Good to see you again. You're not so keen on throwing yourself in the fray, just like Shimshon, who, when it was time to act, said, okay, but maybe it's not so safe for me. When did Shimshon say it's not safe for him? I'm trying to think. What circumstances? I'm trying to understand what you're talking about with Shimshon. But please enlighten me, because it's eluding me right now from memory. Thanks for sharing your thoughts and views. Hey, that's just as dumbass as they might be. These are my thoughts and views. Hope you're doing well today. I am, AA. Thank you. I hope you're doing well too. I love cannabis, or do you mean cannabis, Ray? Hey, I love it too. I no longer partake, but I love it too. Will the Jews rise up? Septimus says. Rise up and what? Rise up and make peace? Rise up and make war? Rise up from beyond their differences, between of them and the infighting among themselves? Many, many things for the Jews to rise up from or towards. So why do you say Netanyahu shouldn't be the ruler, making yourself a king? I am not a king, Borty, not even a little bit. I say Netanyahu shouldn't be the ruler because I think that he has sat on the throne long enough, and maybe I'm mistaken, but we will see. When I start investigating the different platforms of the different parties and their leaders and whoever will be elected and the would-be Knesset members, I'll see who I would be voting for. But I simply think that, and maybe I'm wrong, I simply think that there could be somebody better at this point in time than Benjamin Netanyahu. That's what I think. I might be wrong. Citizen says, how can you be a truly chosen people? I don't go with the chosen people rhetoric, Citizen. I say that the Jews were selected for a certain task and other nations were selected for different tasks. If people can convert, isn't it all about the bloodline with y'all? No, it isn't. And what you said is exactly that. You can convert to be part of the faith. It's not about the bloodline. It's about Torah and commandments. That is what it is. That's what it is. Torah v'mitzvot. Torah and commandments. That is the essence of Jewish life. Oh, I see. The comment was sarcastic. Okay. Well, let's put it this way. If at any point I get the call, much as I got different calls of the divine revelation in life, if I get the call to go there and do that, I'll make the necessary arrangements if I can afford to do it, like logistically, and I will go and answer that call. I think. I've been called to a few different things in life that I felt truly inside of me that were not done on a whim and were not done overnight, and things I took my time with and truly arrived at, some people might say misguided conclusions, but conclusions nonetheless. And if I get the call to go to the West Bank and try and join the fray and throw myself between the two combating factions, I think I would do that. But there's also that idea of not putting yourself in danger unnecessarily. And there is police there, and there are military forces there, and I don't know much about what goes on there day to day because I haven't been in the West Bank on a daily basis in a very, very long time. I can't remember the last time that I went there on a daily, like probably in the army at some point. But no, not as a civilian. So that's all I have to say about that. If we bring out specific cases of land theft, will you condemn it? Yes, I condemn theft. I also condemn the type of settlements that are illegal and then the law is passed to make them legal. I don't think that that's right. Now, different circumstances and conditions do apply, and there are exceptions to every rule, but I don't think that's right. Also, what do you know about the Guatemalan converts? I know nothing about the Guatemalan converts, but if land was actually stolen, then that's not cool, and things need to be done properly. That's what I say. Oh, whoops, wait a minute. There was something else in the chat. No? Okay, no. Okay. Let's continue with the live. Scrolling down. The military and police don't do anything. That's why protective presence is needed. Look, you are making such a broad generalization right now. They don't do anything. Settlers there are torching, fields and ripping out and mutilating animals and harming people and houses, and I don't know what they're doing. But I heard some stuff, some really horrible stuff that's going on there. Whether it's retaliatory or whether it's without provocation, that it goes on there. Such things on both sides. And you're saying that the military and police don't do anything. Not at all. Not a thing. I find that hard to believe. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I find it hard to believe. Now, As for... No, no, I suppose I don't find it so hard to believe. At first, my first thought was like, it can't be that they do nothing. But when I thought about it a couple more seconds, it was like, they could definitely not be doing enough. Which is not nothing, but it's definitely not what they could be doing, what they should be doing, what they ought to do. So not doing anything, that's too much of an absolute. Not doing enough, like on a major level, that I'm willing to accept more readily. So let's call it that for all intents and purposes. That's why protective presence is needed. Like I said, I won't be putting myself in harm's way just yet. But if I do get the call, I don't think I would shy away from answering that call. Though I honestly don't know. And I really don't see how I could be going there every single day and still keep a job and have a wife, and kids and maintain a home. I really don't see how I would be able to do that every day. Can you think of a way where, unless this becomes my full-time job, and who knows, it just might, but not that I'm shooting for that necessarily. But what I'm saying is that, practically speaking, logistically, financially, how am I to sustain this? Actually, how? I do not know. Let us continue. Scrolling down. It's not every day, okay? So, Greek kings, according to you, how many times a week or a month would I have to go there for you to say, oh, okay, so now he is doing something active? Not that I'm looking for your approval or validation, I'm just curious what you think. You said getting to know the families, and that's how you will know when things are retaliatory and when things are, without provocation, and when... How much time do you think that would take, and how much time in every day that I do go would I have to invest in that? I'm curious. Are you Amish? No, I'm not, Chuckles. No, I'm not. Mama says he's coming back to America soon. He just quit his job. No. I did not quit my job. I was let go because the company was bought and they're downsizing. Barely any people left in the office right now. Shit hitting the fan, perfect time to move back. Well, again, I have never moved there, so I didn't grow up in the States, so I cannot very well move back. I would be moving there, but no. Show us your Kabbalah scroll. Do you have one that you made? No, I do not. I'm a vegan, so I don't use parchment. And even if I would use parchment, I do not have my own personal tree of life. I do not have my own personal ilan. Some people say that you ought to have one. I'm not a Kabbalist, though, so I have no idea. What I do have is a few books that I learn from regularly. How can you fucking defend the settlers in the West Bank, says Leo? Because if they are the ones being attacked and provoked and harassed and terrorized, that's how I can defend them. And if the settlement that they are on is a perfectly legal one, yes, I will defend them without question. If it's illegal, then I won't be defending them as much insofar as you put yourself in that position and you stole land. That is actually illegal to be there. Don't do that. And if they are the victims of something that they started, I would say you reap what you sow. So I don't defend settlers across the board, and don't make it seem, don't misrepresent what I'm saying. I swear that you said you lived in NYC. No, I said I went there for a few weeks. The last time that I was in New York must have been almost 20 years ago. No, more than 20 years ago. More than 20 years ago. So I haven't been there in a very long time. I lived in the Netherlands for a few years. I lived on the outskirts of Amsterdam, but not in the States. I never lived in the States. Do you have a degree in theology? No, I do not have any type of degree. I have a certificate of completion from the film school I attended, and that is it. Turtle. Turtle. Hey, Turtle. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of turtles and tortoises. You're defending terrorists murdering civilians. No, I'm not, Raven. You're full of shit. People in the chat, clue this dumbass in on my opinion on people who are terrorists. Thank you. And by the way, I have the greatest sympathy, right, being a dumbass myself. Okay. Do you have any favorite or important tzaddikim that should learn about? I mean, look, people like Rav Kook, people like Rabbi Nachman of Breslev, these are, to me, favorite and important. I consider them two of my dead masters, if you will. But it truly does have to do with what tzaddikim, what sages, what righteous people shine before you. When you study their words or their commentaries, and when you read about things that they have done, what is it that, who are you drawn towards? Because those who are significant, favorite, or important to me will not necessarily be the ones who are significant and important and that are favorites to you. So, yeah. Let's continue. Could you expand? Oh, sorry, the chat just jumped. Sorry. Chat just jumped. I don't know what it was. Hey, Gabriel is here. I see someone reacting to Gabriel. Good to see you, Gabriel. Tribe of God is here once again. Hey, Tribe of God. Once every other month. And you think that me going once every other month, I would be able to know the families there and understand who's against who if I show up there and an altercation breaks out? That is not, you cannot at all be serious. Really. You think that if I go there once every few weeks, that I would be able to figure that out and truly know? No, man, look, you're coming from a good place. I believe your heart, from what you're saying, is in the right place. It's nice that you want to defend the innocent, insofar as there are innocent people there who are undergoing settler violence and whatnot. But what you are saying is impractical. What you are saying is simply not viable, especially not to the degree that you want it to be, where, oh, the way that you get to know who's right and who's wrong is you get to know the people and the families. You can't do that with once every other month. That is not viable. It's not practical. And I would be really putting myself in harm's way without knowing what I'm doing. And that really, truly is putting myself in harm's way because I don't even know what's going on. And this is not me being like a coward about it. This is me saying the way that you are stating it is just not viable. I don't see how. I don't see how. I really don't. Okay. So basically, a religious goal is to return things to like the garden. Yes, Eden. Eden is the goal, right? To partake of the fruit of the tree of life. We are now in a world between worlds. We are now in that space of time between the Friday afternoon of creation and the sunset in which Shabbat comes in of creation, right? And that point of time between afternoon and evening was stretched into the history of creation as we know it here in this world. And we are still in the middle of earning our place back in Eden, a place where there were no cultures or faiths or borders or Jews or Gentiles or ritual worship or kings or courts or rabbis or sages. Humanity, nature, the divine revelation, physical, metaphysical, spiritual, whatever plane of existence and perception you want to take it on, Eden. The Edenic mindset and the Edenic deeds, as you begin to implement them more here in this world, you're able to pull Eden into this world and elevate this world towards Eden. So yes, the garden, going back to the garden and commencing phase 2 of creation. That is my religious goal insofar as creation. But for me personally, my religious goal, Torah v'mitzvot, if I merit it with the rest of us, prophecy. But the religious goal is to keep the Torah and the commandments as such. This is our tradition. This is our way. This is our, this is the Hebrew thing. That's the path. You should ramble less. It's good for us both to be specific and concise, says Ralph B. Well, I agree I should ramble less, but this is a channel where I'm the only one on camera, at least right now, so I'm rambling. It's all good. Did you know even under Israeli law, 72% of Israeli settlements in the occupied territories are illegal. I'm going to just Google that right now just to see. Google might be wrong, but I just want to see what Google says. The specific figure of 72% does not correspond to a standard recognized statistic under Israeli domestic law. There are authorized settlements, unauthorized outposts, and the proportions. Let's see. Okay, what is the percentage then? I'm asking. If it's not 72%, what's the percentage that would be considered illegal under Israeli law? Let's see. The Israel Policy Forum cites approximately 127 legal settlements and roughly 200 illegal outposts. But that's not a settlement. That's not quite okay. Oh, I see. So no, I'm sorry. These are organizations. It's not Israeli law. These are different organizations. So no. Okay. So let's see. Only about 20 to 30,000 settlers reside in unauthorized outposts. Less than 5% of total settlers. Okay. More than 95% of the settlers in Israel are in legal settlements. Less than 5% are in unauthorized outposts. So, and that's from the population. That's not from any kind of. That's like from the census, right? That's from the official Israeli census takers. So, 700,000 settlers, 700,000 plus in officially authorized municipal blocks or cities, 20 to 30,000, less than 5%. Less than 5% live in illegal settlements. So, Turtle, what you just said is not corroborated by AI. AI might be wrong. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be the case that 72% of Israeli settlements are illegal, and it also doesn't seem to be the case because less than 5% of settlers are illegal settlers living in illegal outposts. So I did not know that. The reason why I did not know that probably is because it's not true. So check your facts. You might be wrong. You might not. You might be on the money, and AI is full of shit. Maybe. Let's see. Jews can't eat cheeseburgers. According to Torah, no, that's correct. You could do more by using your platform to endorse and recruit others to do protective presence. To be honest, this is not what this channel is about. You people who come here each and every single day with your agenda, and I engage with you sometimes, most of the time. That's what this channel has become because of that. Not primarily, but also. The channel, if you read the channel description on YouTube, it says, faith, spirituality, religion, and self-development through the eyes of a modern-day Hebrew Nazarite Am Haaretz, a simple person of the land who took a Nazarite vow and wants to discuss things of that nature, right, with other people. That's what this channel is. Which is also why I'm considering reverting to the Basing Say approach, right? And just cutting out all politics and all addressing things about the conflict. I've been doing it for a year and a half or more. Like, relentlessly. Truly. Maybe it's time. Because this is not why I started this channel. Nor do I want it to be a political channel. I'm supposed to encourage and endorse others themselves possibly in harm's way, because sometimes that's literally what they would be doing. Why is your hair dreaded, says Baal Hamon? Because it is organic dreads, and that's what happens when you keep it clean, but you don't comb it or brush it. And I didn't condition it for the first couple of years either. That's why it's dreaded, because it happened on its own. You could have more moderators to keep it on topic. No, I don't have any moderators, FanMade. Hey, FanMade, good to see you again. No moderators here. Just like I don't kick anybody out. Just like I don't ban anybody. No timeouts. No censorship. Alfie says, you seem pretty knowledgeable about the conflict, though, and it is important, and a lot of people have a lot of facts wrong. No, I don't think I'm knowledgeable. I am to the degree that I live here, and I've been a civilian here, and I've been a military man here. Not an officer, but just a run-of-the-mill soldier. So in that sense, I am knowledgeable, but I also understand that everything that I hear and see, whenever I do hear or see the news or listen to the radio or see a website, that it's already propaganda, it's already hasbara, it's already engineered to have me think a certain way, act a certain way, speak in certain ways. And so I try to form a synthesis and not just go with the thesis of the government and the powers that be that are feeding me information. And I won't know everything, that's for sure. And I can't even say with any absolute certainty that I am knowledgeable about anything, really, truly nothing. But living here, yeah, I'm as knowledgeable as the run-of-the-mill dude. Most media is propaganda. Yeah, that's what I would say, Chad USA. I would. Soldier says, I don't know who you are, brother, but I've watched a little bit, and I see even the haters that say derogatory things towards you, you smooth it out like an iron. I have nothing against the haters. It's a win-win-win, right? They get to spew their hatred. I get to either roll with it or make fun of it or whatever it is that I do with it, or smooth it out. And YouTube gets, and there's more engagement in the channel, and YouTube gets more watch hours, and their advertisers are happy. So it's a win-win all the way around. Let's continue. It's interesting how you manage so many different topics at once. Your brain is galloping in all directions simultaneously. PS 85. People have told me this. People have told me in the past that I do have, it seems, some capacity to keep different strands in my head and be able to pull at different things that are also in my head. You tell me, is it out of the ordinary? I have no idea. But I'm certainly against the haters. I wish I had your mental clarity. But that's not, I appreciate the kind words and the sentiment, but there are times when I'm more mentally clear, and there are times when my mental, where my mind is foggy. It happens. You seem like a super nice guy. I have my moments. Sometimes I'm not nice. I am passionate about it, Frank. It is indeed true. I am passionate. Can you see a realistic and long-term solution to the conflict? Yes, de-radicalize both sides. And that invites in justice, and the justice invites in peace, and the peace eventually will invite in love. It doesn't necessarily have to go in that progression of one leading into the next linearly, but de-radicalization, right? I take a look at World War II, I take a look at Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan, and I see that now, not even a century after such atrocities, we are friends. And they, right, in Germany and Japan are part of the world economy and the industry and the European Union, for crying out loud. And so if Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan, Imperial Japan, they are able to go through such a transformation after World War II, Israel and the Palestinians are also able to undergo that very transformation, to be able to be de-radicalized after almost a century of conflict and bloodshed and war and terrorism and awfulness and atrocities and so many lives ruined and so many lives lost and so much death, so much destruction. It is awful. But there is hope. There's definitely hope. Elohim bless the hearts of truth seekers, says Joseph. Yeah. And those who find. And those who find. We're almost at the end of the world, says Tribe of God. Yep, that's been pretty much the idea ever since we were kicked out of Eden. That's true. You're absolutely right, says Miss Jem. Israel is doing heinous things and Bibi Netanyahu should be tried. I mean, look, if he is indeed carrying out war crimes and crimes against humanity and things that are being, the accusations being levied against him, then he needs to stand trial and be brought to justice. As for Israel doing heinous things, I don't believe Israel as a whole are doing it. I believe that there are individual people in government or in the army that are carrying out things that are not okay, heinous, as you said. Those people don't belong in government or the military. They belong in a grave or in jail, right? Or in prison, I mean. You're right, our enemies become our friends if we allow them and ourselves to be. Yes, Toda Salam. That's how I see it unfolding. I don't know how. I don't know how that would happen. I don't know what needs to happen for that to occur. In some parts of me, I think that maybe Israel will have to go all out again and have a decisive victory at the cost of many lives, unfortunately. But then maybe peace can be arranged. Just like a decisive victory and an unconditional surrender of Jordan and Egypt paved the way to peace with Jordan and Egypt. And so the unquestionable victory and unconditional surrender of Hamas, right, and the decisive victory of Israel over the terrorist regimes, that will be what might pave the road for real peace. However, peace is better than war. Love is better than hate. Life is better than death in the sense of that only here while we breathe can we keep the Torah and the commandments. Only here while we still draw breath can we do a good deed, say a kind word, help somebody out. Greetings says, most time in protective presence is just getting to know either the families or the other volunteers, but I guarantee the first time you actually see the harassment, your mind will completely change. No, I've seen harassment. Let's put it this way. I've seen some stuff as a civilian and in the army. So, no, you're mistaken. The reason why I'm saying the reason why I'm saying you're wrong and my mind will not completely change is that you seem to be speaking under the impression that I am pro-settler violence and that will cause me to change my mind. But no, I am not pro-settler violence that is unprovoked and that is sometimes not even if it's retaliatory. And you need to let the army and the police force take care of it, but you say they do nothing. The point is, no, it wouldn't change my mind completely. You're mistaken. It would validate that which already I hold in my mind. That violence, even if it is the answer in some cases, it's not up to the individual to enact that violence. It's up to those who were given the authority, army, police, border patrol, whatever the case may be. Not vigilantes, not terrorism of civilians, of Israeli citizens. Do you see what I'm saying? So you're saying it will completely change my mind, and I'm saying no. You and I are already of the same mind. It would simply validate that which is already clear to me, that you should not go and harass people for no reason, call it Zionism, and think that this is what God wants you to do. So I think on that we're on the same page. It will not change my mind. It will only serve to fortify that which already is in my mind. Should I have more tea? We'll see. What do you think about the Christian Kabbalist Kruger? I have no idea what a Christian Kabbalist is. Presumably it's a Christian who studies Kabbalah, but that's not a Mekubal. Studying Kabbalah is one thing, being a Mekubal is another thing. So being a Kabbalist and studying Kabbalah is not the same thing. But maybe some people would think it is, but let's continue. The Trinity is in Bereshit. No, it's not. Not even a little bit, but because he is Christian, obviously that's what he will say. In the same way that Jesus is not mentioned or alluded to even a little throughout the entirety of the Hebrew Bible, yet Christians say that he is the Alpha and the Omega and that he is there throughout the entire thing. In the very same way. I might have some details wrong, I just read about it recently. So what do I think about it without knowing the guy and without knowing what his assertions or contentions are? I would say that as a Christian, of course he's going to think that the Bereshit and the Trinity correspond. As a Hebrew, I'm saying, no. 10 Sfirot. 10 Sfirot in the first verse. In Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. That is the blueprint of all creation, even only in the bit. The point is that, no, there is no Trinity in the Hebrew faith. There are 10 divine emanations known as the 10 Sfirot. But there is no God the this, God the that. No. There's one God, unknowable, unthinkable, untouchable, inconceivable, unfathomable, that is wise not from wisdom, and knowledgeable not from knowledge. Okay, understanding, but without. So, I would say that he's a Christian, that's what he thinks. I'm a Hebrew, I disagree. But I'm not saying he's wrong, I'm just saying that's not the Hebrew way. Why are your eyes like that? My eyes? Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. Iran bent you over last time, says Leo. Sure, Leo, if you say so. Sure. Alluding to the Messiah is Kabbalistically in the Old Testament, but it doesn't. Jesus was that guy. What, again? Alluding to the Messiah is Kabbalistically in the Old Testament, but it doesn't. Jesus was that guy. I don't know what you mean to say by that, but no, the idea of the Anointed One and the King of Israel, Kabbalistically, it's not Kabbalistically there. It's also Kabbalistically there. It's also de facto there. You're supposed to be in exile until the Messiah has not returned. False, citizen Z33. Nothing in Torah, nothing in the Bible actually corresponds and corroborates what you're saying. What you're saying is based on the interpretation of an external teaching that is based on the oaths of the Song of Songs. And so what you're saying is wrong, false. Many people think, and they echo what he said, you're supposed to be in exile, the Messiah has not returned. You can only go back to your land when you received a direct instruction from the Anointed One, or from, some sort of other divine revelation that will come to you and say, now you may go. False. 100% false. And even if you grant that and say that there is that option, there's also the option of the physical coming before the spiritual. We can see that with the tabernacle and the temple that were erected and built before the divine presence came to dwell. We can see that with the dry bones of Ezekiel, where the body and the sinew and the bones and everything and the flesh is being made. The bodies stand up, but they are not yet imbued with that spirit. Only then is the spirit called. In the very same way, the state of Israel, with some people say representations of the Messiah, son of Joseph, the material and physical foundation, the material physical infrastructure upon which, right, the physical vessel, the cup, the goblet into which the spiritual essence is poured. Poured. The spiritual essence is poured. So you're mistaken, Z33. Now, are there people who echo what you're saying and who anchor it in the three oaths and who are saying, no, you're not supposed to go up to the land until, yes, there are people who say that. That is not halacha, in most cases anyway, nor is it in the Torah. So you're wrong. You're simply wrong. Corn, yes, exactly. Frank says they were given a chore to do something they had to convert, and they didn't within the increment of time given by God. Who are you talking about? I'm curious. Blessed One says, what book should I read to get an introductory understanding of Kabbalah? I know it is supposed to be taught orally, but just to get a basic understanding. The 13-Petaled Rose by Rav Adin Ibn Israel Steinsaltz. The 13-Petaled Rose. It leans more towards the Lurianic Kabbalah, and I don't study Lurianic Kabbalah, but when I did at the time, most of what he says there in that book is universal. And in some cases, it probably does go more towards the Lurianic lore, which is amazing. It's simply not what I roll with these days, and for over a decade now. But I digress. The 13-Petaled Rose, written by Rav Steinsaltz, Rav Ibn Israel, Adin Steinsaltz, and who, incidentally, I went to yeshiva before the army and after the army, two different yeshivas. The one after the army, that I was there for a year, learning half a day and working half a day, was the yeshiva that he was the president of. And I received that book, The 13th-Petaled Rose, as a gift when I finished my first year of yeshiva in the one that I was at before the army. It's a great book, it really is. I'm reading The 13-Petaled Rose right now. I'll post a passage from page 18. Hey, Justin Union, are you enjoying it? Judaism is a religion, not ethnicity. Well, people say it's this, people say it's that. Okay, feel free to say that, that's fine. Does Judaism allow interracial marriages? Yes, it does, Sarah in Dallas, Texas. Sarah in Dallas. Yes, Sarah, Judaism allows interracial marriages. Army of the IDF? Yes, there is such an army called the Israeli Defense Forces. Who is this? Mugan? Mugan. Or Mugan. Yes, there is such an army. Unfortunately, there is a need for an army. May we be able to act and behave in such a way that all military forces will disband and there will be no need for warfare and conflict and warfare and death and murder and bloodshed will be lifted clean out of creation. Even right now, as I am speaking these words, may it come to pass. May it be so. So why are you a Messiah? I'm not a Messiah. I mean, I'm a Messiah in the sense that I'm an anointed one because I anoint my head with oil sometimes. But to be a Messiah king, you need to be anointed externally by someone else to be king, either the people or a prophet. So I'm not a Messiah, not even close. Shai Milman is here. I think political and religious and nationality ideas are the same. They're pyramids shaped to fuck you over and get you lose your freedom. So religion, politics, nationalism, pyramids shaped to fuck you over. Unless you're at the top of the pyramid, then you're sitting pretty, huh? Now, you're saying that politics, religion, and nationalism from the onset are simply there to benefit the few at the top at the expense of all of those at the bottom? I'm sure many people would agree with you. In some ways I do too, though not absolutely. Not absolutely. In the course of all things, all that this soul has done in life casts into it its right form on the level appropriate to it in the life after death. Yeah, you make your own clothes. It's what's called the Chalukah de Rabbanan, the clothes of the sages. And you make your own spiritual clothing, if you will, in the very same way that we were clothed with light, and then we were clothed with leather after the sin. And we are striving now to be clothed with light and with good deeds and with mitzvahs once again. And it's been said that to the degree that you engaged in good deeds and followed the commandments, that's how well put together your clothing will be after you die. But that's still not your final form. It's still just you in a waiting room on the way to phase 2. So you're going to be soonly appointed Messiah. No, Borti, I am not a candidate for the throne. I do not want to be king. I would not want to be king. I don't believe I will be asked to be king. I think it's a job that is not mine to have. I'm just a simple Hebrew man, no more, no less. I was born with the birthday suit. Why must I buy more clothes? I agree. There's something to nudity as an Edenic thing that is very appropriate. But, let's continue. Shai says, don't you think if we make all nations museum, there will be no more wars and we could travel the world without feeling like we don't belong? I'm not sure. Was that a typo? If we make all nations museum? I'm not sure what you mean. What's the final form? Well, let's put it this way. That's something, people talk of the afterlife, right? But the true afterlife is the one that is awaiting us after we partake of the fruit of the tree of life. And then that Edenic Sabbath that never took place will come to pass and come into existence. And when that happens, we will be able to elevate all of creation along with us, much like it's the Shabbos that elevates all the other days of the week, much like it's the Neshama Yetera, that extra bit of Shabbos-like soul that a person receives on the Sabbath. So I don't know what the final form is, But I know that when we arrive at it, we will have merited it by toil, labor, suffering, discomfort, work, sweat, blood, and and righteousness eventually, righteousness and humility and kindness. God willing, may it be so. But I do not know what that final form is. An elevated form of humanity, right, manifesting their true image of God in which they were created in fullness. Making nationality a big global museum. So what you mean to say is now, as we are right now, retiring all signs of nationalism, I don't know if it will work. Maybe. Now, if that happens, and humanity as such is able to come to a consensus and do it together, yes, I am for that. It's a lot more Edenic that way, isn't it? Now, we were kicked out of Eden, and there are certain things that we cannot achieve. And there are certain things that may not be appropriate because we are not in Eden. And so when I say to bring Edenic elements into the world, I don't mean 100% because I don't know if it's doable 100%. It's bringing certain things down while trying to elevate, up and meeting halfway, I suppose. But that, something like that, of one unified human family as we once were, I don't see a downside to that. Do you understand? I don't see a downside to all humanity coming together, embracing each other in our shared humanity as we are made in the image of God, as we originate according to tradition in Adam Arishon. I don't see any harm in us coming together that way, and maybe even if it comes at the expense of what would make us uniquely Hebrews, because it could very well be that that end might justify the means. It's a whole that's greater than the sum of its parts. Now, rulers of halacha, sages and rabbis and righteous folk and keepers of the tradition who are more strict will say, no, 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 what you're saying is blasphemous. Even if we were all, one unified human race, you don't give up on your signs of nationalism, and you don't, and you don't stop being Jewish. So I need to know, do you mean religion as well? Politics and nationalism, not a problem. Religion as well, because that will already also cause in-group, out-group, tribalist sort of thinking, which might potentially, not necessarily, lead to war and conflict and segregation. And the Jews very, very prominently segregate themselves with what they say, with how they worship, with what they eat, with how they dress. So it depends. But by and large, my mindset of the Edenic things is that there is no harm in it. There is no harm in it. But there's a time and place for everything. In the very same way that I think that there's no harm in the naked human body as such. Nudity, I have no problem with nudity as such. Yes, sexualization and the sexual urge and that, besides that. Now, some people say, no, 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 you cannot pull those two things apart. But for the sake of argument, yes. Because the nudity of Eden was not a, let's say, what's the word I'm looking for? Can't see, I'm tired. Huh? It's now almost midnight. I've been on for nearly 2 hours. The fact that I could not think of the word, off the top of my head means that I'm getting a little tired, which means that I might say goodbye soon. All right, let's continue. Why do some rabbis say we kill the prophets? Well, prophets were killed and persecuted, and you can see that in the book of Kings. You can see that at the time of Elijah, where he was like basically the only one left, and they wanted to go for him too and kill him too. So yeah, prophets were killed. Prophets were persecuted. Prophets were... terrible things happened. Terrible things. And I think that's why some rabbis say we kill the prophets. It doesn't mean that we need to kill the prophets. It doesn't mean that we ought to, but it means that it has been done in the past. I think that may be why. Citizen says, I think the world always been this bad. We just have the ability to witness it all now. Yes, that is true. The world always had the negative and the positive, right? The world of knowledge of good and evil it is. And, oh my God, you can definitely know a lot more good and a lot more evil. nowadays with so much. Are you smoke weeds? No, Yoel, I do not smoke weed. I did in the past, and I no longer partake. I don't rule out partaking again in the future, and I'm a fan of marijuana, but I no longer partake. Incidentally, respect the herb, respect your body, respect your mind, set and setting, and integrate, integrate, integrate. Shalom Aleichem, dude. Hey, Jalen, how you doing? R says we could make the world better, but our leaders want war for their own profit. That may be the case as well. It might be true. I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I really don't. Jew Marley be like, I shot the prophet, but I didn't kill no deputy. Sheriff John Brown always hate I. Yeah. Dude, I think the Bible is overrated. It makes the conflict I known all my life. Then, of course, religion too. It harms me so deep, as well as nationality and corrupt and corporate politics. Yes, all three definitely have the capacity and the ability to wreak havoc and make great, just enact damage, and just rip people apart, rip families apart, all of that. That's true. With religion, I believe that there is more of an element of truth and of wonder and of awe in its, in its real rudimentary form, in its basis, right, in its foundation. But yes, you are definitely correct. As for the Bible being overrated, you must remember that the Bible, we were not commanded to write the Bible down. The Torah, we were commanded to write down. The Nevi'im, the Ketuvim, right, the prophets and the writings and the scrolls, we were not commanded to write those down. They decided to canonize those books. They left many other prophecies, prophets, and books and scrolls out of the Bible. That was not a commandment. That was something the sages did in anticipation of a long and arduous exile, which it was. We had to go into survival mode. And when you go into survival mode as a people, you undergo all kinds of things, and we did. And that's, I think, in part why we are so screwed up. The Jews, I mean, right now. Why we're so screwed up. Who's to say? Who's to say? Bible was written for shits and giggles? No, it was written so people of the Hebrew faith will have a common reference, right? A codex that they could reference as one people. That's why. Not shits and giggles, though there are shits in the Bible and giggles. So that also exists, though it wasn't written expressly for shits and giggles. Those hippie kibbutzim look so cool. Nazarite should take us to one. Yeah, some of those are really, really cool. I agree. Yoel says, you seem a decent Jew. You should trust the wise of the Torah and trust God. Your image of shared world comes after God decide to reveal the Messiah and connect in the physical more with humans. Yes. Right? God will pour his spirit upon all flesh. Right? Chalomot, chizionot. So the wisdom of the Torah is definitely there. To trust the wise of the Torah, I take issue with that to some degree. As for Messiah, I don't believe that Mashiach, right, Melech HaMashiach, is a prerequisite. I believe that Adonai is our king, just like Shmuel said to the people. And even though there are Hilchot Melachim, right, Maimonides very famously, Hilchot Melachim u'Milchamotehen, he does specify the conditions under which somebody can be a potential Messiah. But it still does not mean that we must anoint a king. Even though he says Shalosh mitzvot nitztavu, right, to anoint a king and to build the temple and to eradicate Amalek's seed. I think that anointing of the king, it can be something that can be bypassed. Adonai is our king. But if a king is to be crowned, and if we as a Hebrew people can come together and decide and be able to give someone the throne and the crown and anoint someone and be led by a king who is righteous and benevolent, v'haricho b'yirat Adonai, I mean, it would be glorious and amazing to see what a leader can do with a unified people of Israel behind him. That would be very, very cool. What do you think about Baal? Highly controversial for people. It's not controversial at all to me. Baal is a foreign deity. The Hebrew people worshipped Baal in all of its different forms for a very long time. And in the beginning of the Second Temple era, the inclination to worship false deities was taken out of the equation, as was the foreign worship of the one Hebrew God. And since then, individual people might still worship false gods, false for the Hebrews, not false for those whom they are the primary deity. Hebrew people individually might still worship this god or that god, Baal among them, but the Hebrew people, by and large, as such, as a people, do not worship false deities any longer. You Jews are wrong, says Bart. Yes, many people say that Jews are wrong. I'm fine with that. You can think that we are wrong. And that's making a really broad generalization. Why do you say Baal is highly controversial, ADS? I'm curious. Do you think Adam and Eve really existed? Yes, but I mean, there's the physical, metaphysical, spiritual levels in which they existed. I don't think that the story of Eden is entirely physical, even though it does mention Africa and it does mention rivers that do exist here in the world, right? So on the one hand, you see metaphysical elements, allegorical elements, and on the other hand, you see actual geographical location and physical, practical elements. So it's a bit of a mixture there, meaning that it existed on different planes. And depending on how you view the Torah, how you choose to interpret it on the four different levels of Pshat, Rim, Drash, Sod, then, but basically, if you're talking about existence as such, physical, metaphysical, spiritual existence, being as such, yes, I believe Adam and Eve, Adam and Chava really existed. I don't believe that they were the first humanoids ever. I believe in evolution. I do believe that they were the first couple, let's say, that received that divine breath of life that other hominids or humanoids prior did not merit for whatever reason. Now, Terence McKenna, very famously, with his stoned ape theory, said there is no missing link physiologically, right? There's a missing link spiritually, if you will, where it was the mushroom, the psilocybin mushroom, that was the missing link, and that later brought consciousness and self-awareness into being for humanity. And that is the missing link between apes, let's say, and between humans. That it wasn't a physical missing link, but a mental and spiritual one, a psychedelic missing link. He never said Jeebus Christ, that's some made-up shit. Hey, Kamos, how you doing? RDZ, you like Palestine. Again, I don't believe there was ever such a place, but I like the innocent people calling themselves Palestinians. If indeed they are innocent, then yes, I do. What about you, RDZZ? Do you like Palestine? Palestine does not exist, says Gabriel, precisely, but there are people here, and they're not Israelis. So you can call them whatever you want to call them, they're still here, and some of them are innocent people, and some of them are in the seventh circle of hell, if you will, right? Stuck between Hamas and between the IDF, between their terrorist Palestinian Authority and the police or the IDF. Do y'all know what Baal translates to? So Baal is master, Baal is also somebody who is, Baal can also be, well, it's usually like master of or owner of, that is what Baal means. Yes, and I support Gaza. Good for you. I support the innocent people in Gaza. I do not support Hamas. Israel isn't a real country, says Bart. Really? You know, there's a very good chance that whatever device you're watching this on right now, live from Jerusalem, there's a very good chance that some Jew or Israeli was involved in innovating or improving upon whatever device it is that you're watching and viewing this on, which makes what you say such a bullshit sweet irony. So you want to think Israel is not a real country? You go right ahead and think that. Baal literally translated from above. No, that is not what Baal means. Al means from Elyon, it has the same root. But Baal is not necessarily from above. That would be Me'al, with a mem, not with a bet. Hey, Mark is here. Do you have any Arab friends? I'm Jerusalem. Um, I mean, I've worked with Muslims and Christian Arabs over the years. Right now, I can't say that I have an Arab friend. I do have a couple of Arab acquaintances through my kids. So yeah. What were the Philistines? The Philistines were invaders from the Greek Isles, so they say. Pleshet, right? Philistines is Plishtim. The Plishtim came from Pleshet. Pleshet was in the northwest, and they were not indigenous to the land. Those were the Philistines. The Philistines were not one of the 7 nations that we were commanded to genocide and eradicate when we crossed the Jordan, which is why also they were, and they remain, at the time, they remained a pain in the ass of the Israelites. That is also why Rome called this place the province of Syria Palestina, because Assyria exiled the kingdom of Israel, and the Philistines were a thorn in the ass of Israel. So, those were the Philistines traditionally, and I think historically, academically, people who do research and stuff, they also attribute and associate the region of Pleshet with the Greek Isles, not indigenous folk. Why you guys hate Syria and Syrians? I personally don't hate Syria or Syrians, RDZZ, so you might want to ask another Hebrew man or woman who does hate. I do not hate. So I can't really answer that question, why, if I don't hate. Right? Is that cool? Okay. Imagine if I said Hebrew Nazarite isn't real, would that be disrespectful to you? No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't be disrespectful. I don't need you to think that I'm real. I have a very, very solipsistic twist to my being, meaning that I don't need you to think that I'm real. I'm not saying I'm a pure solipsist, not even a little, not even a bit. But there are times in my life where I'll go more towards that under certain circumstances. Not for long periods of time, just in my mindset, right? So, no, I don't mind. I really don't mind if you say that I'm not real. In fact, you can't know, because what you're seeing right now is zeros and ones on a screen and audio signals. That's what you're experiencing right now. So, is that real? Who's to say? You're a great AI if that's what you are, brother. Thanks, Jim. Why is Israel attacking Syria then without any real reason, taking territory for the sake of what? I'm sorry, Israel is attacking Syria without any real reason? You don't think that there are still terrorist elements in Syria? I'm thinking that there is. As for taking territory, the Golan Heights, assuming that's what you were referring to, the Golan Heights were taken as a strategic advantage because for a very long time, maybe still, there were Syrians and the Syrian leadership, for sure, at the time, that wanted Israel dead and gone and wiped off the map and had repeatedly attacked the state of Israel. And so the Golan Heights we have maintained, and the Hermon we have maintained, Mount Hermon, for strategic defense purposes. That's just the bottom line of that. That is why. Maybe if Syria's leadership and Syrian terrorists, Hezbollah, for instance, and others who were there, although I think nowadays they may be more in southern Lebanon than Syria, but I don't know what's going on there right now. But for a very long time, we were indeed under the constant threat from Syria. And so we had to fortify our defenses. That is why the Golan Heights were kept. Let us continue. Dude, when will it end? The need to cover up yourself against people who are attacking your national relative truth. I gave it up. I mean, I don't want to live my life from a trauma-based. I'm live. I glitched, but I'm live. Hello. When will it end? I have no idea, Shai. I have no idea when it will end. I really don't. The need to cover up yourself against people who are attacking your national relative truth. It's so awful. So awful, everything that's going on here. No matter what side of the conflict you are on, it is just terrible. Really. Frank says, you have never seen anything your eyes have, but your brain has not. No, if anything, the brain flips what the eyes see, right? The eye gets it, tilted on its end, upside down, and the brain reverses it back to right side up. Don't be so hard on my guy, he's just misinformed. Palestine has existed for a long time. There is physical proof on currency. Yes, and that currency also has the words Aleph Yod on it. Eretz Israel, the acronym for Land of Israel. Yes, the British Mandate of Palestine minted coins in Palestine that had the words Palestine and Eretz Yisrael, Aleph Yod, on them. Both of them together. All I said is that the Palestinian as an identity, a nationality, right? Not the name of a region, but a real nationality, that's from the 1960s. Look it up. If you're saying that I'm misinformed because I don't know about the currency, which in fact I do, and I've seen those coins with my own eyes, then you might be misinformed over how the Palestinian thing became an actual identity and a made up, really, truly made up history. This is not, once again, to say that there were no people here who were non-Jews who also have a claim to the land. Of course there were, of course they do. But to say that there's some sort of an ancient Palestinian, that whole Jesus was Palestinian bullshit, yeah, he may have been, because maybe at the time, that's when Rome called the place the Roman province of Syria Palestina. So, yeah. But have you ever seen a rabbi eat a hot dog? Yes, I have, actually. Shavua Tov. Hey, Jigga, how you doing, man? Hey, bro. Hello. Hello. Scrolling down. Palestinian, says Neva, KGB plot, yeah, the Soviets, with the Egyptian agent Arafat in 64 facts. Yes, there are many facts that are considered to be, right, that you can trace back, the Palestinian identity facts to do with that you can trace back to the Soviet Union and the 1960s. Yes, that is true. Still, exactly what I'm saying. So the identity and that made-up history is bullshit. What is not bullshit is that there were people here, living for hundreds or thousands of years even. And they should continue living here in peace and in dignity. I would love that. I truly would. Of course, Judaism has old roots in the region. No one is denying that. People definitely are denying that. You aren't, and I am not. But definitely people are, because they say that the modern-day Israelis are fake Jews who have nothing to do, and we are all Khazarian, white European colonizer, occupier, whatever crap they spew. So, what are you going to do? I just realized I still have so much to learn about Hebrew. You mean as a language, or... Yes, indeed. Make some Hebrew Nazarite vegan hot dogs, says Joseph. I mean, maybe. I never thought of going into the culinary arts, but I just might. What do you call non-kosher lentils? Lentiles. Very good. I enjoyed that. That's cute. Oh, sure, but saying that God isn't real is disrespectful. If something's really real, like you don't need to feel disrespected. We say that they aren't real, like Hebrew Nazarite, as you say. God isn't real either, because reality also denotes the lack thereof, and it's a duality, and God is not a duality. If you say that God is, it could be that God isn't. And if you say that God be, it could be that he won't be. Those are divine revelations that we speak of, but God itself is not real in the sense that we perceive reality through our senses. We do not perceive God through our senses. We perceive divine revelation, the divine emanation, through our physical and spiritual senses. But I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. And as such, no, God does not exist. God is not real. God is not a being in the sense that I am real, I exist, I'm a being. Do you see what I'm saying? Insofar as reality is something that I can partake of, engage in, relate to, none of that is God. All of it is divine emanation. So, yes, I don't think it's disrespectful to say God isn't real. Because if you consider God to be real, it can also be unreal. And that's already a duality, and God is not a duality. Sure, but saying that God isn't real is disrespectful. Okay, wait. Oh, I'm sorry, you just said that again. I don't understand. What do you mean? What do you mean? Shim says the Almighty. Yes, that corresponds to Elohim. Takif uba'al hayacholet uba'al hakochot kulam. That is the Almighty. You remind me of a Buddhist somehow, says Fan. I mean, I'm a fan of the Buddha, His Royal Highness Prince Siddhartha Gautama Buddha. He said some really, really wise things. Truly, he did. Got to go. Good stream, man. Bye, Fan Maiden. Good to see you again. Israel was a people in the land of Canaan, not the land of Israel. Yes, and they took over and killed most of the 7 nations, de facto taking over the land by force. That is what they did. And the Canaanites and the other 7 nations are no longer here. So we don't know who they are. But we do know who the Israelites are, though it is disputed by some who say that we are all fake Jews. Most of the people do not dispute the fact that the modern day Jews are indeed the children of Israel. Only from the kingdom of Judea, right? The kingdom of Judah, right? In the region of Judea. The 10 lost tribes, they're being found out here and there. And people do attribute themselves and affiliate themselves with some of the 10 lost tribes. But the consensus among Jews is that they are the people of Israel. Oh, the Canaanites were there before the Jews. Yes and no, because the Canaanites they came from Ham, right? Canaan is the grandson of Ham. I'm sorry, grandson or son? Grandson, right? Canaan was grandson. Canaan neched shel Ham. Son or grandson? Grandson, I think. Right? No, the son, the grandson of Noah, the son of Ham. Okay. So Ham received his own inheritance, let's say, and it wasn't in the land of Israel. Or it wasn't in the... So the Canaanites themselves, some say, were not meant to be in this land. Whereas Israel, from the onset, was. But, I mean, that some people don't see it that way. It's one way to look at it anyway. How many countries have you traveled to? I've been to the Paris airport. That's de Gaulle, right? I've been to the Netherlands. I've been to the States. I've been on the border of the different borders here in Israel, but that doesn't count traveling to another country. So 2, I suppose, right? The US and the Netherlands. That's where I've traveled to. That's pretty much it. Do you identify as Jew or a woman, says Huge Rod. Hi, Huge Rod. Love your work. I identify as a man, a woman, a Jew, a Jewess, gay, lesbian, bisexual, two-spirit mug, and transgender. What else am I? That's enough. Yeah, I'm all those things. He hates the British too? You think so, huh? On average, what is the closest planet to Earth? I would think it is Mars. Is it not? Is not Mars the closest? 3 months away? Whereas Venus is a lot longer than that. Isn't it closer to 5 months? I'm not sure, but I think the closest planet to Earth is Mars, if I'm not mistaken. Have you seen the Odyssey? No, I have not seen the Odyssey, Mike, and I have not read the book either, or the Iliad. And I will at some point. What do you think of Indian Aryans? I have no idea who Indian Aryans are, so I can't tell you what I think of them. That's not much traveling. Why are you stuck? Richard, I'm a homebody. I love Jerusalem. I love Israel. I love being at home. I don't have the travel bug. I don't have the need to go visit other places. I don't have this desire to experience other cultures and see different things. And I have no desire to do that at all. I don't look down on people who do. Of course, many, many people travel to all kinds of places and it's part of their bucket list to do this and this and that. It's just simply never been something that has interested me. I've never felt the inclination, like, oh my God, I want to go here and there. No. I love being at home. I love being in Zion. I love being in Israel. And I really do love sticking around to what I am familiar, with and what I'm used to. And I don't have the travel bug. I don't like at all. It even surprises me sometimes how much I don't care about seeing the world. I really, really don't. There's so much for me to do here. Truly, there is. I just don't feel the need to experience I want to travel let's say, the spiritual realms and the spiritual worlds and experience those, to be sure. But the physical world just has no allure to me. It really doesn't. The ancient Canaanites are not called by that name today, but genetic and historical studies show they are the ancestors of modern Lebanese, Palestinians, and other Levantine populations. Okay. So, what did I say? I said that there have been people here for hundreds and thousands of years that are not Jews that also have a claim to the land. So, we're kind of in agreement on that. And I believe that Israel did accept the partition plan. I believe that Israel did give land that it won justly in a war, right? They gave land for peace. They withdrew from Gaza, withdrew from Lebanon, gave the Temple Mount back to Jordan. Israel has done many, many things for peace, demonstrating precisely this. So if your claim is that the Canaanites are the Palestinians and that it's their land, no, they lost the land. However, I don't think that they should be kicked out. Canaanites, not Canaanites, Palestinians, not Palestinians, if they were here, call them whatever you want. They have been here for hundreds or thousands of years at times, right? Then yes, they should stay here too. They should belong here too. It's that simple. I mean, it's that simple for me to say. It's not simple to actually carry out. Do you believe consciousness is fundamental to reality? No, because human consciousness is a little different than the run-of-the-mill mammalian animal consciousness. So it's not fundamental to reality. The only thing that is fundamental to reality is the creator. That's why the creator is called makom, the place. Because, hu makomo shel olam ve'in ha'olam makomo. He is the place of the world, and the world is not his place. So he is fundamental to reality. Were the divine revelation, were the divine emanation to stop flowing for even a microsecond, reality would cease to exist, right? Reality as we know it would cease to exist. It is that those primordial 10 utterances of Genesis, right? The revelation of speech that brought being into existence in all of its splendor, all of its forms of spiritual, physical, and everything in between. That is still currently what is sustaining reality and creation as we speak. Very much like the Hindus and the primordial Om, right? And that sound, that vibration, that reverberation that echoes through eternity, throughout all of our history, right? And even right now at this very moment, sustains reality. In the very same way, if I'm not mistaken, they at least attribute some sort of sound or name to that sort of influence on reality. So the only thing fundamental to reality, to creation, is the creator. That's it. That's what I believe. Shai says, I can totally see a peace between Israel and Palestine. It can be such a boring Bible place. Don't get the whole wars. It's just overblown nationality crap like socialism from the 20th century. I think you're mistaken. I think it's very much religiously driven, ideologically driven. I think it's not just nationality. It's not just socialism or, some sort of an economical system. I think that's really simplistic because I think it's a lot more than that. I'm not saying that you're a simplistic individual, Shai. I'm thinking that's just, it doesn't seem to me to align with, it just doesn't seem to align with the history of the place. But maybe I'm wrong. Do you believe there is only Hashem and that only Hashem exists? Again, Hashem does not exist, because existence also denotes non-existence, and that is a duality. And the Most High, blessed be He, is not a duality, right? So I don't think Hashem exists. I think that there is a creator, unknowable, unthinkable, unattainable, unapproachable, inconceivable, that I can only relate to insofar as the attributes of the divine, the emanations, the clothing through which Adonai is revealed in creation. That is what I have a relationship to, right? Right? Esh ochlahu, hidavek b'midotav, right? To cleave to the divine attributes, to the 10 sfirot, to manifest the 10 sfirot in the image of God in which I was created, in which all of us were created. But Hashem does not exist in the way that I perceive existence. Hashem does not exist. He is not real in the way that I perceive reality. He does not be. He is not a being in the sense that there is being. You see what I'm saying? Yes, but, ein od milvado, yes. Leit atar panui minne, yes. Right? That means there is nothing, there is nothing but Him, and there is nothing vacant of His glory, so to speak. Moduality. Say what? Mateo Rulas, thank you for answering my questions. Again, it's not an answer. I'm simply addressing what you're asking. It's not an absolute. Take everything I say with a big grain of hummus. Hashem means the name, so the name does exist. Yes, because the names of Adonai pertain to different divine revelations. That is something you can relate to. But even there are names you can pronounce. There are names you can only think. So even there is difference and nuance and tiers and hierarchies. And so, yeah. I'm lost with some of this confused nonsense comment, says Shim. Hey, you know what? Not all those who wander are lost. But if you say that you are, then I hope you can find your way. It's an overblown narrative of nationality that gave birth to this world from the French Revolution, mutated into the Bible. What? The French Revolution was 1789, correct? So what you're saying is that all of this is simply the result of something from the late 18th century? How does that make sense? I don't think that makes sense at all. I might be wrong, but you see a linear progression, like a logical progression from the French Revolution all the way to here. And you see the thread, you can thread that needle and show how this corresponds to that over time. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's a very curious thing to say. But I wonder where you see it. And I wonder if there are other, academics, historians, people who've studied these matters that would agree with you. That it sort of goes back to that. Live a good life. If there is a God and God is just, then He will not care how devout you have been, but will welcome you based on the virtues you have lived by. Yes, Twist UAP, that is correct. Ultimately, I believe the same thing. What does Mahabon mean to you? I don't know what Mahabon is, with a capital M no less. Citizen, I don't know what a Mahabon is. So, I don't know what to tell you. Is that a Hebrew word you're trying to say? Or, hey, Bazazao is here. Shem mean everything under the sun and the starts. He doesn't exist, but the sun and the starts, He is the reason they are existing. Oh, talking about not Shem, you're talking about Hashem, about the name. A lot of French philosophy that forms the framework to Western think comes from the Enlightenment era with people like René Descartes. Yes, of course. And. Lest we forget the French philosophers after World War I, after World War II, and Sartre and that whole thing. But that's just it. Israel is considered a Western country, but the ideology, let's say, is not necessarily Western. And the majority, even of the Jews, are not Western. And the majority, or just over 50% or so, are Mizrahi Jews. So, but okay. How would you make Yod He Vav He equal 45? Well, what do you mean? Hang on a second. Let me put it here in Hebrew. Okay? You have Yod He Vav He. Right? And then you have the spelling of Yod He Vav He, which is Yod He Vav He, like that. Or you could spell it. See, it's translating it. I don't know if it's translating it for you automatically. When I write in Hebrew, it translates it in the chat to English. So if you have that going on, you might want to click on it or hover over it, and maybe it will show you the Hebrew. There are different ways of spelling out the letters themselves and the letters that comprise the letters, right? You have Av, Sag, Ma, Bin, right? Av is 72, Sag is 63, Ma is 45, and Ben is 52. And you have different ways of writing out Yod He Vav He, not in 4 letters, but in 10 or less. And those correspond to different gematriot. And those different gematriot correspond to the different sfirot from whence they came. And, well, let's leave it at that. That is how that's done. Mahabone is a Masonic word, which means the flesh falls from the bone, speaking of Hiram Abif after they discovered his dead body. Okay, that just went way over my head, and I don't know what it means, but there are people more knowledgeable than I am in the chat, so go for it and answer his question, but I don't know what that is. God bless the peacemakers. Indeed, medieval method. Yes, medieval method. God bless the peacemakers. Extreme in their beautiful concept album, 3 Sides to Every Story. Blessed are the warmongers. Blessed are the warmongers. Dim, 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 dim. Great to see you again, brother. Thanks, Sharon. Good to be seen again. It is good to be seen. Yes, indeed. Apollo, that is exactly right, I believe. So yeah, people a lot more knowledgeable than I am here in the chat. Flesh falling off the bone sounds like you were slow cooked. Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well, about something that was slow cooked. Do you ever go to music festivals? No, because most music festivals are either on the Shabbos or on the holidays when many people are off for a few days at a time. So I don't go to music festivals. I would rather observe the Shabbos and the different festivals. Now, there are synagogues and other tents, let's say, of worship that are erected in these compounds or places where these festivals take place, but I don't know. I think, I might be wrong, but I think that when the Sabbath or the holiday came in, and I found myself in the middle of this place, this ground, this compound, whatever it is where the festival is going on, and just so much every day, 6 days of the week activities going on, let's say, maybe it might deter from the Sabbath. I don't know. But that's primarily why I don't go to music festivals. The channel is about promoting Zionism. False, Kali84. False. Nothing to do with Zionism whatsoever. The only people who brought Zionism and promoting Zionism into this channel was you people who came at me each and every day, day in and day out, relentlessly with Palestine questions and things of that nature. So you are mistaken. Read the channel's description on YouTube. It has never changed. From the moment that I put it, it has not changed. That's what it is. And it might continue to be that pretty soon. For I am strongly considering going back to the Ba Sing Se approach. So you need a Sabbath-focused festival, which there are, I'm sure. I just don't go to them. Does your forked beard have any cultural significance? Well, let's put it this way. I don't shave. I've never shaved my beard, right? So in times when it does sort of fork out like this, right, into those two things, um, it just does it naturally. Does it have significance? Likely. It could very well be that a Kabbalist would take a look at my face and the hair and the beard and be able to discern certain things from the way that the hair matted up, from the Congos, from the fact that, let's say, this hasn't, or from the beard, or how much white there is, how much gray there is. I have no idea. Somebody who is more knowledgeable than I am and who has that wisdom of the face, chokhmat hapartzuf, he will probably be able to tell me a few things based on my features. But me? No. It's just my regular beard. It's just my natural growth. That's how it grows. I've never shaved it off. How do you go to the bathroom on the Sabbath? Like I do on every other day of the week. That's how I go. Hey, XRP is here. Keep up the up, my brother. Thank you. Joseph says, can a Jewish band play on the Sabbath as long as they're not plugged in and not getting paid? So, halacha says no, because there is the Shema factor. The Shema factor means because there is a chance that a string will bust, that you'll need to fix something about it, that you'll need to retune it, in some way where it might be desecrating the Sabbath, then no. According to strict halacha, you're not allowed to use even acoustic, 100% acoustic instruments. In our home, we have a piano, we have a trombone, we have a guitar, and I don't usually do it, but I don't mind if my kids play the guitar or the trombone or the piano because they are all acoustic. And they're not creating a vessel, they're not making an instrument, they are simply using one that is already in existence, not plugged in. And so I am okay with that. But a person who adheres to strict halacha would say no acoustic instruments, no instruments whatsoever. And if you want to clap your hands like this, do it b'shinui, do it differently, do it so it's not. So again, halacha hilchata rabta leshabbat, said Rav Yosef, right? There are many laws to the Sabbath. Yes. Also, it depends on what type of Jew. If we're talking about Orthodox Rabbinic Judaism, right, those Jews would not play their instruments on Shabbos. If we're talking about the Levitical choir and the minstrels in the temple, they would, because there is no Sabbath in the temple. And if we're talking about conservative Jews, Reformed Jews, other types of Jews who do not adhere to rabbinic law and do not consider it binding, then they would too, pretty much. Man, those are some strict rules to follow, but to each their own. Yes, indeed. The law, halacha, is very strict, but in all of that discipline, there is great freedom. Now, I no longer keep strict halacha, and I have my reasons. And it wasn't to shed the yoke of Torah and commandments. I took very good care to understand myself a little bit better before I decided to stop keeping this, to keep that. There are some things on which I'm strict, and there are some things where I'm not strict any longer. But having lived that strict halachic rabbinic law life for years, I can tell you that it is such a blessed path and such a wonderful way. You still need to discern. You still need to have a rabbi that you go to that, vibes with you. But yeah, I'm okay with a 7-day Sabbath, says Shem. Yeah, may it be so. Yom Shem, right? Olam shekulo Shabbat u'menucha lechayei olamim. Eventually, everything will be Sabbath. The Edenic Sabbath will reign over creation. Frank says, I like your true face value. I like your true face value. I don't know if you're talking to me or someone else, but either way, I appreciate the sentiment. Don't you agree that Sabbath elevator is most stupid stuff? No, I don't. I believe halacha was made by people for people. So people look at it and they see it's a loophole. They're playing games with God. They're tricking God. No, they are using halacha to facilitate living in the modern day. Halacha was made to be that. The problem is that halacha, when the temple was destroyed and when the laying of the hands was cut off and when the sages stopped being proper rabbis, right? When when the rabbis stopped being proper sages in that sense, halachically we are stuck in many ways. We are stuck halachically 2,000 years in the past. And so we have to make do and use the tools that are available when they are available. And so if we are allowed to use a Shabbos elevator, technically speaking, halachically speaking, I don't see that as a loophole. I don't see that as tricking God. I don't see that as, I see that as human beings, right, making halacha for other human beings. The Torah is not in the heavens. The Torah is not across the great sea. The Torah is here with us, the oral one and the written one, by people, for people. Moses received the Torah and gave it right on Sinai and gave it to the people, gave it to Joshua, gave a scroll to each of the tribes. The sages received oral Torah, and then from that halacha was derived in the very same way, right? So by people, for people. I do not think that the Shabbos elevator is stupid. I think that it is a way of working within the bounds of halacha. Now you can make the argument and say, come on, grama, gavra. It's like, okay, so it happened, but you're not the one who pushed the button. But these things matter, halachically speaking. Halachically speaking, to Orthodox Jews who keep strict halacha, these things matter a great deal because desecrating the Sabbath is something that is punishable by karet, that the courts would not administer. It was the higher courts, the spiritual courts, the divine revelation that would administer the punishment of karet, being cut off of the branch of the Hebrew people. The adherence to halacha and the workarounds, not loopholes, but workarounds within halacha, or you can call them loopholes if you want. If they are actually anchored in halacha, then that is the halacha, and people will accept it. And then there are people who say, no, that's not what halacha was for. It needs to facilitate the Sabbath, not facilitate ways in which you can ride the elevator on Shabbos. But then again, halacha is stuck in the past. We have no laying of the hands. We have no sages. We have no way to annul different things that ought to be annulled, different strictness and regulations and rules and customs that became law. So many things over the years that became more and more and more strict that we are then unable to back because we have no Sanhedrin, because we have no proper Chachamim. It's a whole mishmash. What's going on, you big heave? I'm doing well, MSG. How you doing? Why did you live in the Netherlands? Because my woman was doing her master's in the University of Amsterdam. So we moved, the entire family moved there. And yeah, us and the kids, we moved there for 3 years. That was a trip. Literally. The tripping Shabbat elevator is stupid stuff, trust me. Okay, I trust that you believe it's stupid stuff. I also held that same opinion in the past until I actually learned halacha a bit more in depth during my time in yeshiva, and I changed my mind. That does not apply across the board, but I will say that halacha is halacha for a reason, and even if we are only left here to deal with that which we were handed down, and we have no Sanhedrin, we have no proper sages, we have no way to... It's still using the tools that are available when they are available to us. And so, considering the fact that the oral law was meant to remain oral and not be written down, considering the fact that the oral law was supposed to progress and evolve and carry on with society, and again, I say every time, this is something that the conservatives and the Reform Jews do have right, that idea of halakha being something that was supposed to evolve. And so now it is evolving to the degree that it can, while still being anchored in all of those different ways 2,000 years or so in the past. But to say that it's stupid, I'm not inclined to say it's stupid, nor do I think personally that it's tricking God or playing games or loopholes or one-upping, or not one-upping, I mean trying to go that you're above God's law. That's simply not the way that I view halacha. I mean, by and large, right? Just generally speaking. Let's continue. Is there a difference between the oral and the script? Well, yes, there is. There is, because when the oral was oral, it means that everybody had their own halacha, so to speak. And when halacha had to be written down, and when they had to come to a conclusion, right, we have opinion X, Y, Z, and B, and now halacha is X, then it kind of made the other three opinions null and void. It doesn't mean that they have no validity. It means that you can no longer carry them out if you adhere to strict rabbinic halacha. So, in that way, the oral and the script, in the under the rubric, right, of oral Torah, if you're talking about oral Torah and the script, the written Torah, yes, very much. They pertain to two different divine revelations. One of them is the feminine, one of them is the masculine. There's a unity between them, or there needs to be a unity between them. And there are certain things that were not written in the written Torah as commandments that were only made commandments later by the sages, what's called mitzvot de Rabbanan, the commandments from the sages. So there are big differences also. The oral Torah was not meant to be written down. The written Torah was meant to be written down. A super chat came in or something. Hang on a sec. Fluff. Hi, Fluff. Thanks a bunch for your contribution, and I will remind you, good people, everything you contribute goes to charity here in Jerusalem after YouTube takes its cut. And yes, in the next week or so, I'll be deciding on which charity or charities will receive the money. $350 were raised in June, which is really great. What is an oral Torah? The oral Torah, Cal Bundy, is what's known as the Mishnah and the Talmud, or Torah shebe'al peh. That is the oral Torah. The Torah that was oral until it had to be written down. Let us continue. No, let us not continue. Let us go. Yes, it's almost 1 a.m. and I've been on for nearly 3 hours, just over 2.5 hours. People, this has been such a pleasure, such a pleasure, such an honor. Truly, it is. I don't take it for granted, not even for a second, that you're here with me, live from Jerusalem, unfiltered, unscripted, and raw. And I press go live, and there's a conversation here, and there's an energy here, and there's a lively debate, not with me, but I see a lot of going on in the chat. And I deeply appreciate your time, your attention, your engagement, your insults, your vitriol. I do. The haters, the lovers, the Nazis, the spammers, the trolls, the encouragers. It's all so lovely. It helps you guys. It helps me. It helps YouTube. It's a win, 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 win. It's one big win here on the Hebrew Nazarite channel. A quick prayer for unity and peace, de-radicalization, justice, love, righteousness, humility. May we be able to overcome our weaknesses as individuals and collectively as a people. May we be able to embrace our strong sides. May we be able to find courage and true fortitude. And may we merit it through our actions, our deeds, our words, our being. May we be able to live such a life that will truly manifest the image of God in which each and every one of us was created. May we merit giving that gift that we have to give to the world, each and every one of us. And on a more global scale, once again, may bloodshed and war and death be lifted out of creation, even right now as I'm speaking these words. May we be able to reveal Eden and bring it down. May we be able to earn it and make this place into another Eden. Partake of the fruit of the tree of life, God willing, as a unified human race. Somehow, some way, it will come to pass. Be blessed, be a blessing, be the light in other people's lives, good people. I appreciate every like, every sub, every view, every chat, every comment. If I missed you in the chat, please do leave a comment. If you want to hit me up in the DMs, Hebrew Nazarite, you can look for my tree. I'm on X, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. I don't really post there much, but I'm there for the DMs. So if you want to hit me up, feel free to do so. I will see you on the next live stream, where the wonders never cease. Until then, have a good night, a good day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, those of you who are in the States and North America and other areas where it's still Sunday day. It's now 1 a.m. almost here. And so, I bid you adieu. Peace and love from from Zion. This has been so much fun. L'chaim. Is there another drop?